A very good morning to everybody tuning in here on the Sunday show on Airliners Live. Hello, how's it going? Buenos dias. Hello. Hello, hello. Today we got Matt Smith up on the camera as well.
Good morning, everybody.
Howdy.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. And it's just myself and Matt on the show today with a special guest soon as well. Kicking off the show is a TUI 737-800 heading off to Paphos in Cyprus, right? Paphos?
Correct.
One of the few commercial airports over there on the beautiful island of Cyprus. How's everyone doing this morning? Let's get some names in the chat, shall we? And yes, we do have a very special guest on this morning, and he will be joining us from about 10 o'clock.
Hype.
So we've got a bit of a warm-up, a bit of time to fill until then, but yeah.
Warm up the vocals.
Yes. Right, but it's a lovely morning here at Manchester, isn't it? For a change, it's we cursed the weekend when we weren't live.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden we are live, and it's a lot better. Maybe it's just Martin is the weak link.
Our blessings have been read, haven't they?
Yes, that's true. Yeah. A lot of support already as well. We'll catch up with that shortly.
Yes.
Logan Aviation's in the chat. Barbara Feather, Audrey, hello, Annika, Big Red, Martin Davidson, Danny Taylor, the man himself, JS, Melissa's in the chat. Nice to see you, Mel. Dad's Secret Kitchen, hello to you. Joanna Smith, legend. Welcome in, everybody. Merge Queen herself. Emirates A380 already pushing back, just kicking the show off today.
Excellent.
Awesome. Great stuff.
Start.
So what's going on the taxiway then, Matt? You see some any changes? I mean, you've had eyes on it a little bit more than me lately.
So it looks like, well, from what I noticed even on Friday, it looks like they've made some more progress with like the tarmacking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because they still had like a few feet to come towards this, like the RVP here on the taxiway.
Yes.
But it looks like they've made a lot of ground up there. Actually, looks like they're not too far away.
So what is the situation? It's still that taxiway ahead of us, still closed.
Yes, still
planes
closed.
Still backtracking, right?
Planes still backtracking. On Friday again, I had the best of both worlds on my Friday show, because we started off the show on 05s and ended the show on 23s. So we had a lovely bit of variation again. So
that's crazy, because I think planes are having to backtrack both ways, aren't they? It's not
Correct.
like it's not just one way or the other.
Correct. And there was utilising the taxiway to the left there, as there was immediately stopping on the 23 right as well. So yeah.
Yeah, plenty of names in the chat. Welcome everyone to the Sunday show. I'm down in a producer booth today.
Yes.
And I'll be welcoming in our special guest in less than an hour's time. So
Hype for that.
I'm really excited for it. It's a very, very special guest. It's a first on the channel for sure of this type of guest. But on the ground at Manchester, it is very busy as well. Nice busy start. If you look on Flight Radar 24, you can see there are plenty of planes moving. And they're all
we just had a KLM taxiing past, and also a Ryanair. The Swiss 320s down there as well. So plenty of action to kick the show off.
Captain Mark's in the chat as well. Some bloke who travels a lot.
Yes.
He was in the stream on Friday, I think.
He absolutely flooded my show with support on Friday.
Did he?
He absolutely bombed it, mate. It was superb.
I seen he mentioned he was down at one of the airports at Heathrow, I think, did he say?
Yeah,
if I remember right. Zito's in the chat. Tracy D as well. Is the whole family in the chat? That's the question. Beastie, hello. Yeah, Captain Mark.
A380 taking an extreme pushback there.
Wow, Tour de la Manchester.
Tour de la EGCC.
How you doing, Captain Mark? We've had a tremendous positive response from oh, is that's them up there, isn't it? The family are up there on the mound. No way. Didn't recognise you guys with all them 500 layers on. Tremendous positive response from the video, Captain Mark, on the Airlines Lounge.
Mate, I've watched that video about 2 million times.
Yeah,
How about you?
it's good, isn't it?
Mate, you watched it 40 times before it even been figured.
Yes. I think Sam knows the entire video, word for word, just based on what I've been playing.
Sam can now officially be ATC.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Sam, if you want a job, you know, as the person who steps in when the plane is in dire need.
Oh, mate, well, how calm was Mark that was doing that video, mate?
There was a lot
Patience
to it.
of a saint.
There's a lot to it that you kind of don't realise. And maybe I should... well, we've got a bit of a plan. I'll tell you after the 737 goes out back to Amsterdam Schiphol. Beautiful departure there, 737 800 series, KLM flight 1072 on this beautiful day. What an amazing day it would be to have a flight.
Wow.
Imagine looking out the window, just seeing the world below you disappear.
Retro Austrian. Beautiful.
Wow, that's nice.
Oh, isn't it?
I like the little arrow at the front. Little this way, please. It's like the this way up arrow.
This way in.
This way in.
Door there.
It goes this way. Yeah, that's the door you want to use, guys.
Yeah, that's the one.
Pork pies here, please. So yeah, that video. There's a lot more to it than obviously we go over in the video for editing's sake. And I kind of want to do, folks. I've spoke to Mark about this, like a director's commentary. So, except the director is like the ATC director of Captain Mark, where he does like a verbal commentary over it as well that you guys can listen to, and he explains everything,
all the scenarios.
Yeah, because like there were so many little nuances that we found out that we didn't expect. You know, like little, when you got like, because it's a stressful situation. Of course, you and Sonny seem to handle it really well. Yeah. Henry still handled it well, but you could see the nerves creeping in a little bit.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Which is fine. You'd expect that from a normal. When you're put in that situation, you don't know how you're going to react.
Yes.
So it was perfect. How Henry enacted what was going on and stuff.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, we've just released a video on the Airliners Lounge, which is our other YouTube channel.
It's like I was in the office on Monday, and the production behind that, and the editing behind that video is just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. So on Sunday, just gone, we were in the Manchester Flight Sim Centre, and we were recording a video about what would happen if you were on a plane as a passenger, and both pilots became incapacitated, so they were like down and out for the count. Maybe they jumped out the plane. Maybe they fell ill. I don't know. Whatever.
I've had enough.
So in this case, Captain Mark is the captain, and there's no FO. We just said he just jumped out or something. He didn't show up for work. I don't know. And Captain Mark falls ill. We did have a take where he fell off the chair, but he actually genuinely hurt himself doing that.
Yes.
So we didn't keep that in because it looked a bit ridiculous.
It did.
And we had 3 random passengers on board. One of them, this guy, Matt, was one of them. One of them is one of our moderators, Sunny23 UK.
Yes.
And the other one was, other presenter over in Vancouver, Canada, Henry Temby. And, man, I think just to do it randomly wouldn't be authentic. I think having all the cameras on you and all the kind of, pressure of delivering for the video kind of added to the nerves of it.
Yes, I agree.
Because obviously in the real world, it would be really nerve-wracking to be in that situation. Now, the odds of that happening would be like astronomically
Absolutely
small. Like, yeah, just out of this world. Like, that's just not something that happens, put it that way. So, yeah. But the nerves were keeping in. You could tell from everybody that they were a bit like, really focused, really in the zone.
Yeah.
And as a result, the video was 10 out of 10. I won't spoil it, but do give it a watch if you haven't already.
Yeah.
Just press the autopilot button, like in the movie. Kind of, that's what you do. Because, to land a plane manually takes skill, obviously. And
easy for you to say.
Skill is not something that you can just...
Oh, you just press buttons. And
that's it.
Just press a few buttons and give it down, no problem. You'd be right.
But lucky for us, the Airbus sim that we were in has a Cat 3 auto land feature.
Yes, correct.
So it can actually auto land. But, as you'd imagine, it's not as easy as just that button is the landing button.
You press it and just sit there.
Yeah, there's a little bit more to it. So.
Yes, there is.
And it'll let you appreciate that, but it also lets you appreciate the the communication side of it. So, you know, there's a couple of times where people misheard the letters and the words and the numbers.
Yes.
And it kind of created a bit of an odd...
There was another scenario, actually, incidentally, with Henry. And obviously, because the flight sim goes through a lot of use, it gets utilised a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the buttons was slightly faded.
Yeah.
And Henry was... he struggled to like signify that button, didn't he? And wow, that could have thrown a lot of chaos into the equation. But
I think it's like that on a real world aircraft.
Yeah, of
buttons
course.
get faded, you know, screens get scratched, you know, things get mucky, you know. So
of course,
to have a bit of real world simulation, because when you're in like some flight sim, it's all very pristine and like, you know, sterile.
It's got to be, it's got to be for letting them to go into the IRL and stuff like that. You know? Yeah, they do have most modern airliners do have auto land, but I don't think they use it very often. I think they prefer just to use a pilot, and like I said, it's not as simple as like you press a button and it lands. You've actually got to like dial in a load of stuff. You've got to usually with like an airport like Manchester, for example, you'll get what's called vectored in, which is where ATC will communicate to you and give you different headings to turn the aircraft. Mate, it was as simple as just pressing a button. It would have been pointless doing the video.
Yeah,
it would have been absolutely pointless. Just like sat here. We've got a scenario and we've got 3 passengers here. All they're going to do is press a button and land. That's going to be it.
Yes, Danny. You can see some of the older videos that I did doing. I was in the flight sim trying to land. No, it's not easy at all.
It's not,
especially when you got a little bit of weather. Let alone a lot of weather, like we normally have.
Well, darkness set in when Henry took his turn, because Henry was the third out of the trio that we had flying and stuff.
Yeah.
And by the time Henry had got in the flight sim, it was night, so he was using real-time day hours and stuff like that.
Yeah, Captain Mark was saying that. He reckons that made it a bit trickier.
A bit more tricky,
because it made the flight deck darker as well, so
yes,
the buttons weren't as easy to see, and it was it was tough.
Mate, we've got tons of support to catch up on, you know.
I know, I'm going to catch up with it after this departure. Been too ingrained in this this chat. Thankfully, YouTube has the fan funding feature now, which is quite nice.
It's going to be the size of an Air 4 by the time we finish.
Rocket Wolf, good morning to you, or good afternoon.
Morning, Rocket Wolf.
Whatever it is for you. Evening. EasyJet on a very short flight over to Belfast. Belfast International, believe it or not.
Hence the slightly early rotation.
It was, yeah, and it was an A320neo as well. They have a lot of power in them, LEAP 1A engines. Alex Smith with a 24 months of business class. That's 2 years. Wow.
Get in there, Alex. Thank you.
Saying, yay, gold tail badge, 2 years being part of this amazing channel and community. Alex, thank you so much.
Thanks for your support, Alex.
Continuing, yes. Sam Hockaday with a 23 months of first class, so he's 1 month away.
Get in.
Cheers, Sam. Next level gamer with a 12 months, a whole year. What is all these anniversaries about?
Magic.
Saying time flies when you're having fun. Keep up the great work. Cheers, dude. Loyalty travel with 11 months, just shy of the 1 year. Wow, 11 months, he says. That's business class. And Alex Poulter with a 19 months of premium economy membership saying, morning, guys. Hope for a great show. Cheers, Alex. I'll catch up with the rest after this Austrian retro livery goes out back to Vienna. I don't think I've ever seen that before, you know.
I think I've seen it once, and I think I've only got shots of it once as well, yeah.
What do you think, folks, of the Austrian retro? It's definitely one of the more minimal retros. I think a lot of airlines make like a statement out of it almost. They make them big, retro, bold. I'm thinking like the Qatar triple retro. Like
that one there is very similar to like the Turkish retro and stuff like that, you know, with the grey fuselage. A lot of them do utilise that grey base on the fuselage, don't they?
I think you're right, yeah, right. Diane with an 18 months of premium economy.
Hey, cheers, Dan.
Is it really 18 months? Honestly, Diane, that's crazy. It sounds like just yesterday, right? Like you first signed up. And then Craig Naylor with a 32 months of first class.
Wow.
What a lunatic. Thank you, Craig.
Must be mad.
Steve Barnes gifting a membership as well. Cheers, Steve. Zito up on the mound, I'm sure. 4 months business class saying 4 months. Wow, it's been a while. Keep up the best streams. Wish the best of luck for 10 million subscribers.
10. Hey. Going for it, yeah.
One day, I think. Beverly Dobson with a 20 months of premium economy saying good morning, everyone. Morning, Bev. Cam with an 8 months of business class saying another great show. Thanks to the whole team. The recent Airliners Lounge video is amazing. Love the videos featuring Captain Mark. Then Big Red with a 6 months of business class saying
Big Red,
caught you by chance, loved it ever since. Alison with 32 months of premium economy, wow, saying always a Sunday highlight. And then Pia with a gifted membership as well. Thank you, Pia. That's really
we've
kind.
got so many long-term supporters at the minute, haven't we?
It's crazy. Yeah, it's getting to that point anyway. It's just the numbers are getting bigger and bigger.
Jet 273 on the road.
Michael B asking, when is the first flight from Liverpool with Jet 2? Well, I've got a bit of a story to tell with that because the first flight is at the end of March. I think it's like the 28th or something.
Yeah.
I forget what destination, but I think it's a Canary Island destination is the first flight, like Lanzarote or something.
Yeah.
Liverpool Airport are going to be having 4 737-800s based there initially. And honestly, I think that's going to increase, I think, over time.
Yes.
I can't see it being that. But the story I'm going to tell is just the other day, I booked a holiday with Jet2 to Fuerteventura.
Go on.
From Liverpool Airport.
Yes.
So I'm going to be able to try that out. Of course, you folks know we love Liverpool Airport here.
I love Liverpool, mate.
Yes.
Just so convenient, isn't it?
And it's just going to open the door to more routes, more capacity for Jet2. And the ability to travel from Liverpool as well.
I believe like the launches, as you said, like down there and down to Tenerife and stuff like that, aren't there? A couple of like I think they've got like 3 major routes to kick off operations. So I think it's going to be great for Liverpool.
And it's it just makes sense, doesn't it? It's just like a leisure airline from a nice leisurely airport.
Well, it's not just that, and you hear about so many people having to travel over to Liverpool and stuff like that, travel over to Manchester and stuff like that. Yeah. I even know people who, for cost purposes, travel over to Leeds and stuff like that from Liverpool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for it to open up, opening up a lot of doors. And that. Like I keep mentioning though, as long as it doesn't spoil the actual ethos of the airport, which seems to be like nice and relaxed, not too busy, and as long as they can keep up with ups, I think they'll be all right. Ryanair rolling.
There you go, the Ryanair 737-8 MAX heading off to Alicante. Very popular route for Manchester Airport. EI Hor was the HAW on the reg of that. EI. So we got the Emirates A380 now on the move at Manchester Airport. Yep. King of the Skies now on attacks. We've got the Finnair just coming from Helsinki. Embraer E190 LR.
Looks like they removed the tug when it was slightly pushed further back the Emirates, so it should be ready for taxi any moment.
Great stuff. Terry Edwards with a £5 super chat.
Nice one, Tell.
Saying, happy 60th birthday to Martin's dad, Graham. Have a great day.
Yeah, all the best, Graham.
Nice one, Tell. Yes, very happy birthday, Graham. Hey, I wonder if he'll get gifted a membership, as usual. And Lord Douglas Cooper with a Prime membership on Twitch as well.
Hey, nice of it.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the support. Thank you all. It's been like rap God trying to list all the support that's coming this morning. So a lot of arrivals and departures coming up for you folks as well here on the Sunday show. We've got the Virgin Atlantic A330 just over North Wales at the moment, just over Llanfair. No, I'm not going to say it. No. In fact, it's not. It's over, what's sort of there, like Talaka, Conway, Llandudno, I'd say.
Yeah,
area.
they do normally route in over there,
Yeah, it must be. On a day like today, it must be gorgeous flying in that way.
Looking over the coast and stuff like that. Yeah.
I remember when I flew back from Madrid with Ryanair, and it was like, what time of year was it? It was like, I think it was October, roughly, November, something like that. And it routed over the Wirral in Liverpool, and it was gorgeous, blue skies, and it was really nice. And just like, to watch like the Liverpool from above and everything, it was just gorgeous. It was
reminiscent of like the view when you get into London on a day like today.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Flying down the Thames and stuff.
Yeah, and as someone who grew up on the Wirral, I was like there looking at all the landmarks. Like, there's your mum's house. See you waving in the garden. Yeah, North Wales is something else. I think those who come to visit England, North West especially, a day out to Wales is like necessary. And it's kind of like historically a bit of a holiday destination for us, especially the coast, you know?
Yes.
Always like Talaka and Rhyl. Yeah, that's a very...
Rhyl was very popular when I was a kid.
Was it?
Not so much nowadays, obviously, but...
Yeah.
A lot of them towns on North Wales have lost a bit of the thingy, haven't they?
Yeah.
Once the furs go, everything goes. See the de-icer, I think. A bit of de-icer there on the back of the...
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I noticed some of the Jet 2s doing the strange, like, spool up.
Yeah. Slightly thing,
Is there any really Jet 2 that does that? Again, goes with the ethos of... Because Jet 2 own their own engines, that don't lease them. It's probably the case that they, don't want to wear them out, so they kind of...
Give them a kick.
Yeah, don't want to run them cold, I suppose. Similar to when you have a plane. But yeah, North Wales, man, it's gorgeous.
It's lovely up there,
gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, I have a special place in my heart for Snowdonia. I just think it's one of the best landscapes on the planet.
Yeah.
It's so nice.
You went swimming up there, didn't you, once?
Yeah, I like a bit of wild swimming, me. Like... It only really works in the summer for obvious reasons. I don't mind a bit of colder water, but there's a point that any human cannot get across. But yeah, I love North Wales. I love Snowdonia, and I've never actually walked up to the top of Snowdon though yet. Have you ever done that?
My middle child's done that, and he said he was absolutely exhausted.
It takes I had a mate who lived there,
and that was even when the weather was kind and that. So he said it was really like energy sapping.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a mate who lived there, and he said when he was like in the zone and he was really powering up, he could do it in about 3 hours. He said,
"Yeah,"
which 3 hours of uphill fast walking is tough.
Hey, and another bit of sport from Adam Fitzgibbon with the $4.99 super chat. Great to see everyone at the Tash Fair. My dad and mum and Connor might be coming to the RVP today. Hey, it'd be great to see those guys. And yeah, it was fantastic to see everyone at the Tash Fair last Saturday when we had our stall there and stuff. What a great day.
Oh, honestly, it was awesome. Yeah. Thank you, everyone who came over. I know this is our first Sunday show since, so maybe it's your first chance to catch up on that. Emirates A380 taking an interesting line.
Yeah, I think it can only utilise a couple of the taxiways because of obviously the wingspan and stuff.
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, that's a good point. Sunny23 UK's in the chat. Good morning, Sunny. Star of the show on...
yes, absolutely.
She did so well. I think both you and Sunny were... Well, I kind of get your side because you're kind of used to being on camera and stuff a little bit more.
Yeah.
But Sunny, it was like her first time being on an airline as...
Plus, as well, I've got a slight... I've got to give you all a gimme here. But I've got a slight bit of experience in the sim and stuff. Yeah, only a slight bit, though. I'm not like one of those who's in the sim every month and every week. It's just like I have been in the sim once or twice.
Yeah, you've sat in that seat before.
Yeah.
And I had that in the script originally. I was like, apart from like a small about 15, 20-minute session, wasn't it, in a sim?
Yeah.
But I was like, it's kind of pointless. Like, it makes no difference. You're still very
fresh
inexperienced.
Too, yeah. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, Sunny, I'm pretty sure she's like never really been in an A320 sim.
Sunny did really, really well,
Yeah.
I think, like you say, I think the main... Until you're in that situation, it's impossible, I appreciate that. But I think the main thing about being put in a situation, in a scenario like that, is just stay calm. I think I think panic and stuff like that can... and like a little bit of over-information, I think that can throw both the ATC and the thingy as well, or information overload.
It was funny. Yeah. It was so Martin, there was one of Martin's mates who does Twitch streams, Henrico. You see him sometimes.
Yeah.
He watched it live on his stream, and it was a good experience to see what people's reactions to that video are.
Yeah, actual people who are experienced in sim and stuff like that. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And he was amazed by Sunny's like. What would you call it? Like, she was just so in the zone. She was so focused and calm, cool, collective.
Yeah.
And he was like, mate, I think this is why women live longer than men.
They just chill.
This is your example.
Another nice special library in the form of this Scandinavian with the Star Alliance.
And G-Power 3 with their 7 months of Twitch Prime as well.
Nice one, G-Power. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, that Star Alliance special, isn't it? Yeah, really good. Going back to Oslo.
A little touch, I think, on the engines as well.
I know it's an A319, but it's got the mask design and looks like IAE engines as well. 17-year-old aircraft with a Danish registration. That's cool. Oscar Yankee, Kappa. Kappa, Kilo Bravo Papa.
No
On
cap.
the edge. No cap, yeah, no cappers. Who's already hyped for the summer task. Yes, I mean, it's quite a while away, but one thing I would say, though, about the next task fair, which is going to be on the 23rd of...
Yes.
Sorry, 27th?
27th.
Of
And
July,
28th, yeah, correct.
I think so, yeah. Is get it booked early, I guess, because a lot of people get around like a week before and they're like, oh, I've not booked it off
Creeps
work.
up on you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And another thing, like I always mention about the task fair, in the summer, the hotels round here do get seriously booked up quick as well.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah, good point.
They really do.
So this King of the Skies Emirates A380 is going to taxi all the way to the end of the runway, all the way to the start of the runway, turn around, and then take off towards the end of the runway. Man, that must be so weird as a passenger.
Yeah.
Must feel like you're at Amsterdam going off on the Polderbahn. But yeah, big shout out to Paul Davies as well, who had a flight on one of the Jet 757s yesterday. Alpha India, so she's the oldest in the 757 fleet. And I don't know if this is true. I don't know to what extent, but I know that they're literally like the oldest 75s in Europe that still operate for passengers. I'm not sure about the world. But yeah, he was had a great flight on that. And interestingly, that particular plane was Dakota's first ever flight as well. She did back in 2022, went as a Zakynthos on with Jet 2.
Yes.
I think it's mind-blowing how new they feel, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like when you're on board them, they feel great.
Mechanically.
Yes, like the pressurization's great. They fly smoothly. There's like a power in there. You know, if you had a car that was 36 years old,
how good a knit would it be?
Yeah, you'd expect it to be a bit worn.
Yeah. They do look after the aircraft, though, don't they? Jet 2 engineers and stuff like that.
They really do. Right, next departure is a Boeing 737 MAX 8.
Yep.
TUI Oscar Delta.
So the Emirates is waiting down there because, as I said before, it can only use the Mike 1 taxiway down the bottom there, down near the airport pub.
Yeah.
Which is the second of the exits down that end. So yeah, so it can only utilise that one. And then I think the Emirates will obviously have to wait till these. I think there's 3 or 4 aircraft down here waiting to depart now. So it might have to wait for these 4 to get out of here, and then it'll get the opportunity to track back to the end of 05 left here at Manchester during this Sunday show, brought to you by Airline Live.
We had Sinead with 7 months of premium economy, saying 7 months, no regrets, the loveliest bunch of people.
Yes.
Hey. And G Power with a 21 months premium economy, saying hello. I don't have to say anything, or I don't have anything to say, should I say? Well, there you go. Very, they always have like this distinct sound, the Maxes, don't they? It's like a whistly, kind of modern tone to them.
And I'm always of the feeling, with the TUIs and the Jet 273s, they must be loaded to the max, you know, because they utilise a hell of a lot of the runway at the minute.
I find out with Jet 2, like, it's very rare to find, like, a lot of empty seats. It's always, like, just packed.
Yeah.
And as you said, you know, they use a lot of runway, and I think a lot of that is down to the fact that they're pretty heavy loads.
Fully loaded.
Yeah. Because, you know, I've been on a few Ryanair flights and stuff where there's a fair few empty seats, and, you know, and there's a few seats to choose from, shall we say?
Yes.
Whereas with Jet 2 and stuff, you often have to reserve a seat. Here we go, the beautiful Scandinavian Star Airline Special A319 heading off to Oslo. Not much runway being used there again. Star Airline Special A319 heading back to Oslo. Yeah, the Emirates A380 coming on a taxiway still. Fair bit of a journey to go before the King departs. And we also had Jenny Watts with a 35 months of jump seat. Woohoo! Nearly a Wookiee.
Yes.
Nice for Jenny.
Get in there, Jen. Next aircraft's lined up as well. Jet 2. A321 Neo.
Actually, that's interesting. I've not heard about that. I'll have to read into that. Where have you seen that? Is that announced anywhere? If so, I'm happy to read into it and give it a shout out and stuff. So yeah, the July task fair, I think it's, like I said, the 27th, which is a Saturday.
28th, yeah.
Really good weekend, though, last weekend. Nice to spend a bit of time with Henry, Niels, and all the moderators.
Yeah, it was great.
And big shout out to all of them who came over to the fair last weekend as well. Jet 2, A321 Neo, next to the parts.
Hey, and big shout out to a few of the mods as well who'd had a bit of a trek to get here as well. So,
honestly,
big
yes.
shout out to some of those guys.
Yeah, some of them did.
Lanzarote, the destination for that Jet 2.
Yeah, so I think I was speaking to Paul last night about these 757s.
Yeah.
Now, he uncovered some not great news, but I think it's something that's been kind of rumoured on the inside of Jet 2, is that the 757s with their fleet, they're kind of rumoured that they're going to be going soon. And it seems like we've had a lot of repetitive reports from the inside that they're not going to be around for much longer. And what I've heard is literally as soon as next year they're going to be going.
Yeah.
So
I've heard rumours like earlier than that, but I'm not even going to put that out there because it might just be that,
Yeah, I hope so. So I think we are looking to do maybe a little jaunt to somewhere like Palma de Mallorca or something, just to like indulge in the 757s before they go. Something kind of eyeballing. Jet 2737 heading off to Paphos there. But one of the biggest challenges is trying to work out what flights they utilise in the 757s.
Yes.
Because now, I kind of was a bit naive. I was thinking that the entire reason why they're getting rid of the 757s in the Jet 2 fleet is because what was the lifespan of the planes, essentially, most notably the engines. Because when the engines run out of hours that they can fly, then all of a sudden it becomes a big challenge to keep them going then, and it comes with a lot of money and expensive.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, now that they're receiving a lot of A321 Neos from Airbus, the fuel saving is big. So now all of a sudden they have this incentive to just go with the Neos on most flights and utilise them more and more.
And you see, that's part of the rumour that I've heard, because the 321s are being delivered so frequently that the date for the final one could be being brought forward even more.
I know they've got like 60 or 70 odd on order, and there's barely any in the grand scheme of things, but they've only got like a handful of 757s.
Correct.
So as soon as they replace them, sadly that's going to be it for them, I think. But we shall see. I think about Jet 2 as well is they would like to utilise more capacity. They need more capacity. They leased planes in the summer last year. They had the World to Fly A330.
Yeah, and of course they still use the air tanker as well. So
yeah. You should definitely do a vlog if you do, Andy. Alex, I've considered it, but the problem with the 75s are they're great planes and it's a nice experience, and maybe for a lot of people it's like a fun thing to fly for the first time. Maybe that'd be a nice vlog. The problem is, though, when you're on board, it's just like a low-cost airliner. There's not a lot to... You can talk about the plane, but, it's a 4-hour flight where you go, oh, that was a nice takeoff, and then you kind of just sit there and, you get copyright striked because they play a bit of Jess Glynn when you get on board. Wow, look at that shot there. Wow. Little and large. David and the Goliath.
You've got problems if you get on a plane in Jet 2's, but in the Jess Glynn's plane.
We asked that question to Noel Phillips, who went, why don't you do because often Noel Phillips, to get to destinations like, I don't know, Azerbaijan or, Kazakhstan or wherever he's doing a bizarre video from, he'll have to use regular airlines to get there, like Pegasus and stuff,
Yeah, of course.
But, we asked, why don't you do a video of them? And he's like, well, it'd be boring, wouldn't it?
Because everyone knows. Well, and a lot of people utilise those low costs as well, so they know what the score is and stuff, don't they? So
yeah. So yeah, if we can get some information about what flights are using the 75 and stuff. I know you can look at seat maps and stuff. but it just takes so long. It's not an easy job, put it that way.
You're practically booking a flight, aren't you, before you can even see what
Yeah,
aircraft it is?
yeah. Yeah, the ATR looks like a toy plane indeed.
It really does. Compared to... Nice bit of first bit of prop action, I believe, of the live.
Nice to see. ATR 72 with Aer Lingus heading off to Dublin. Echo India, Golf Papa Oscar on the reg, and then you got the nice crossover of the two Airbus wide bodies there. One of them much larger than the other. It's like two A330s stacked on top of each other,
yes,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Double decker. Emirates A380, King of the Skies, coming in. Well, about to take off soon. After a long round trip of Manchester Airport.
Yeah.
This plane was meant to depart, let's see. I suppose it's not that long ago, but 40 minutes ago, 40.
Not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. I've seen it, luckily, when you were live, it wasn't too bad, but I've seen it go like 2 hours late, from recently.
Mate, I've been stood on Southside waiting for it a few times and for hours and stuff.
Missed the start, where is Martin? I don't think we even spoke about that, but Martin, I think he's got like some family commitments essentially, so he couldn't make the stream today. Yes, so
I think they've got family up from far afield and stuff, and he wants to make the most of that as well. So as you would.
Yeah, so he sent his apologies that he can't be on today's show, but nonetheless, we move. This Wednesday coming up, by the way, it won't be a regular show, folks. We'll try and do it at the regular times, 11 a.m. I think, but it won't be a regular show. It'll be from another airport.
Oh,
and,
interesting.
We spoke about this, didn't we, on the last show? Those remember with the flag, So yeah. I'm sure many of you know what airport it will be.
Yes.
But we fly out on Tuesday morning. And there you go. Flying out is a bit of a giveaway.
Hey, we might just be flying to Liverpool for anyone knows.
Manchester to Liverpool. It's a new Jet 2 route. It's great. I think people would do that. Well, I'm geeks. I was looking last night actually at if Lufthansa were going to do the 747 flights again.
The Mallorca flights with it.
Man, I don't think they are this year.
Oh,
I don't think they are.
Gutted.
I know. I'm a bit sad about that, if I'm honest.
That'd have been superb. I'd have definitely considered that. I'd have considered that more than jumping on one of the 75s, if I'm being honest.
I got close to booking it last year, and it was literally like 80 or 90 quid.
Wow,
for a flight with Lufthansa from Manchester to Frankfurt to it was Frankfurt, wasn't it? Or was it Munich? I think it was Frankfurt. Yeah, to Mallorca, on a 747.
Good grief.
And then what you could do is just get like a Ryanair flight, which was like 30 quid back home. Speaking of Jet 2, this one heading off to Antalya, south of Turkey. Lovely destination, year-round sunshine.
Yes.
I have a friend who lives in, he moved to Georgia.
All right, yeah.
The country, Georgia. And I was having a catch-up with him last night, and he was saying it's like, 350 days a year of sunshine, and it's just glorious. And you kind of forget what that feels like, being in this country. He's invited me over, though, to see the town of, or city of Tbilisi, which is like the capital city of Georgia. And it looks gorgeous, looks so gorgeous, looks so historic. Right, next departure is a Ryanair 737 heading up to Malaga.
Spooling up.
Don't forget, folks, to hit that like button if you haven't already. Helps us out massively. The Sunday show. Some really high pressure over England. Is it high pressure that normally means less cloud cover? Is that how it works? When you're looking at like high cirrus clouds? I think that's... Because I remember last June, do you remember that when it was like sunny?
Yeah,
for
it was really sunny for like a full week.
Yeah, and I think that was like high pressure that caused that.
That was the whole summer, wasn't it? That 1 week, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
It was,
yeah. That was mad, that wasn't it? Like, yeah. Because I remember, I can't remember what I was doing. I had some commitments, but I couldn't make that Thai A330 when it came in.
Yeah.
And that was a glorious morning. It was like 05 right arrival, yeah. Gorgeous sun. It's something we're hyped about for the summer, isn't it? Like, because here in Manchester, if you go over to what's called Woodend Lane, the area, which is where 05 right arrivals happen, man, in the summer, the sun kind of rotates around. It's like a perfect spot where it's like head on with the plane.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You have to get there early, though. You have to be there at like 6:30 in the morning, right?
Yes.
With your camera ready. And, yeah, it's gorgeous. Ooh, the Emirates A380. Probably number 3 to take off.
Yeah, I think so, yep. Got this TUI on its way down to Sharm el-Sheikh, down in northern Egypt. Northeastern, should I say.
Yeah, pretty long route that down to Egypt. I know Martin's been there before.
Yeah,
he said it's pretty empty, pretty barren.
Hurghada's the same. As soon as you go off like away from the resorts and stuff, it's pretty much like desert. Yeah.
Really?
Pretty much.
I've been told that about Fuerteventura as well. Like, I'm looking on the map, and you zoom into the resort, and there's like a couple of little buildings around, you know, couple of shops and that. And then it's just nothing for like half an hour. So, yeah, that's gonna be fun.
The prop aircraft, the ATR 72-600, already on the takeoff roll.
Sweet. We also have the Malloth Aero A330 pinging up. It's been pinging up for a while though, so I don't think it's going to move.
I think it's been pinging up since last Monday.
Right, our guests should be arriving imminently, by the way. So I'm going to jump off the mic. So if you want to just do your thing. And
absolutely.
do what you do best on a Friday. He's not here yet. So the guest arriving, folks, shortly is his name is Chris, and he's from Flight Radar 24.
Hey.
He's actually from the company itself. It's a first for us on the channel to have someone from Flight Radar coming on the show, and he's going to answer some questions about Flight Radar, talk about what he does, how it works, and I've got a few questions to ask him, you know. And obviously Flight Radar is what we use on the channel anyway, like we used it.
Yep.
And they helped us out a lot over the last few weeks because they follow us on X and stuff. And they've been sharing, and Facebook and all that. And they've been sharing our streams quite a lot lately. Really kind. They've really been enjoying our streams, been jumping in the chat. So it's a nice way to get them on, say thank you, and show them a bit of love, I guess.
Here we go. Flight Echo Kilo 22 lining up on 05 left here at Manchester during this Super Sunday show brought to you by Learners Live. About to depart back to Dubai in the Middle East. Just lining up. Emirates A380 poised. Should be spooling up any second now. I was just waiting for there's a Ryanair actually tracking back. So. Couple of minutes. Keep us waiting.
Yep, stand by. I'm going to just jump off for a few minutes.
No problem. I'm not sure if Andy's got these already, but thank you to you, Amy staff nurse, for the one Airlines Live gift here. Danny Taylor, member, first class for 17 months. Getting here whatever close to that gold tail. Still a way to go, but I'm definitely here for the long run. 2024, the year of 1 million. Gold beanies, gold hearts, and just about gold tails. Get in there, mate. And Adam, Member for 3 months at business class. Yep, of course we'll do that for you, Adam. No problem, mate. Give him a wave and whatnot. As you will hear, the guys from TAS have just arrived to provide the commentary to the people attending the RVP today. Very knowledgeable guys from TAS provide a lot of info for people attending. There we go, 380. Now got clearance to depart Manchester. Slight bit of fall off just coming off the wings there as the Emirates A380 climbs out from Manchester.
Right, I'll be on in give me a minute. I'm just welcoming our special guest into the studio.
Hey. Still tracking it, ladies and gents. .380 departs. Air France 220. Just arriving from Charles de Gaulle after about an hour's flight time. Ryanair 73 is now lined up with the next departure. Hey, and Flying Peacocks, thank you so much for your 10 months support at Premium Economy. Thank you so much, Flying Peacocks, mate. Top channel, top content, top community. I agree with all those. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much. You've got Ryanair. quick slurp of coffee. Hey, and thank you once again to you, Flying Peacocks, with the one Airline is Live gifted membership. Going back to the community, thank you so much. Thanks again, Peacocks, mate. And that incident went to Hazza. And Holly as well, gifting one Airline is Live membership as well. Thank you so much, Holly. Hope you're okay this morning. And Adam just letting us know it's his dad's birthday as well. Cheers, Adam, with the 199 super chat as well there. Thank you so much, mate. Cheers for your support this morning. Mega. An EasyJet on the Europe car sticker. Just taxi past EasyJet off to the yeah, heading down to Paris, sorry. The EasyJet there is just gone past us. Heading down to Paris Orly. Aircraft in question. So, of course, with the taxiway immediately in front of us here at the runway visit park, work in progress still being carried out. Now been slightly pushed back to around the 8th of March due to allowances for weather and stuff like that. And we are in Manchester, so it was bound to throw the schedule, I would have thought. But yeah, these lads have put a graft in as well. All weathers. Not letting it stop on these lads putting a graft in. And as I said before it started stream, looks like they're almost finished as well, so just a little bit of the taxiway to finish tarmacking by the looks of it. Good few inches of tarmac being relayed. Looks like the there's some room for the lights to be refitted as well by the looks. Progress report on the taxiway. And we are awaiting this next departure, which of course I've just mentioned is the EasyJet heading down to Paris. Just waiting for that to enter the active runway. While we do that, just have a quick check on the chat again. Yeah, and a huge thank you to you, Jane. Jane Chu there with the one Airline is Live gifted membership. Thank you so much, Jane. Very much appreciated. And Natasha there, jumping in with 10 Airliners Live gifted memberships back to the community. Thank you so much, Natasha. Awesome support. Thank you. Wow, 10 gifties. If you just received a giftie there, guys, make sure you show your appreciation in the chat.
Wow, thank you, Natasha. It's very kind of you. Cheers, Matt, for stepping over.
No problem, mate.
Emirates A380 departure was awesome.
Beautiful.
Really held for a long time.
It just held, like, it just stayed like in that one direction and just glided its way on. It was perfect.
Right, I'd love to welcome in our special guest for today. This is Chris from Flight Radar 24. How are you doing, Chris?
Very well. Great to be here.
Yeah.
Amazing to see it from the other side. It's a bit strange.
Yes,
but it's such a great view you guys have, so it's really nice to see that.
Have you ever flown into Manchester before?
I have, just on Friday. In fact, I flew down here from Heathrow. The British Airways shuttle service. I think you guys captured that landing, so I watched that back on the stream, of course.
Nice.
So you would have landed on 05 right. That was on your show, Matt, wasn't it?
Correct, I believe so, yeah.
So obviously we didn't quite catch the touchdown of that as well, but you would have taxied out, came in, and seen all this work that's going on the taxiway as well. Like,
absolutely.
That Matt's picking up here. So I was just mentioning to you off stream there that there's actually a lot of work going on the taxiway. It's all kind of essential taxi work, and usually on this taxiway here, the planes they taxi right past us here at the RBP. So you said you've been here before, have you?
Yeah, once a couple of years ago. But yeah, I remember that position right there. You get that kind of classic wave sort of. I figured out it's about 30% of the crews kind of give you a wave. It's kind of one in three.
That's more predominantly the KLM,
Jet2, EasyJet usually. Yeah. Certain airlines who will always go above and beyond. And
correct.
Sometimes they'll get the window open as well and give it a wave.
Love that. Well, on behalf of, if we have any influence in the world of aviation as Flight Radar 24, I'd like to put a message out to every flight crew for every airline that has never waved when they've arrived into Manchester. Please wave, because it really improves everybody's life. It's
I know. I mean, you get a lot of families and stuff here and kids, and when they see the pilot waving and stuff, it's so special. Like,
it is.
Like I still get a buzz off just meeting pilots. You know, when you go up on the flight deck and you like just see them in the uniform and stuff. You're like, wow. But yeah, that is amazing. It's a nice thing at Manchester Airport.
So, absolutely. Well, as we were talking off air, we don't really have a kind of comparable large airport viewing area like this down south, or at least not that I can think of. And this reminds me, around a sort of up until I think the early 2000s, there was a visitor centre at Heathrow Airport. It was located kind of next to one of the car parks. It had a museum in there, but most importantly, it had a kind of a viewing gallery at the top, which gave you a really good view of what I think would be 9 right, 2 7 left, I think, if I remember correctly. And that was amazing. And I remember being taken there. You know, my mum would drive me there on the weekend, or sometimes my dad, you know, as a kid. And that was kind of one of the things that originally got me into aviation, was you know, living near Heathrow and just seeing it day after day. And I'm just old enough to remember Concorde flying over as well. You know, I grew up just outside the airport in a place called Stanwell Moor, which is right at the end of one of the runways. It's an incredible view. But it's just so good that you guys have the ability to give the public this kind of view, and I just wish that
amazing.
More airports would embrace that kind of community. And I think there used to be one at Gatwick as well.
Yeah,
we are incredibly
it's crazy how popular it is as well. Heathrow would be a perfect example. If you just opened a plane spot and park at Heathrow, it'd be an instant overnight success, wouldn't it? But you've kind of got a bit of there's not a lot of land there, is it? Free. There's a lot of hotels, and a lot of them do overlook the airfield and stuff, and they do have that kind of plane spotting experience. You can stay in a runway view and stuff. I know the Renaissance is really big for that. The Premier Inns, the Thistle. And me personally, the Premier Inn's got to be one of the best. But no, it's. I wish they did that at more places. I know East Midlands have the Aero Park, Harden, which is local to here, with the Airbus Belugas. They have Chocksaway Diner, who really embrace it. They have a similar park to this. But yeah, something I'd love to see more of. I know a lot across Europe they have a lot of like open plane spotting places, like the Polderbahn at Amsterdam Schiphol is really good. I know Frankfurt has Munich, I think it is, has a really good one. A couple of places around the world, isn't there, where they have like nice spots. And also Manchester Airport has South Side as well, the other side of the airfield, where it's like you got the walk along. Have you ever been over there as well?
I have not been over there. No, I've never been here with a car, I've kind of been limited to where I can go in a taxi or public transport.
Yeah. Well, if you want, I can take you over there after the show finishes. But it depends on which runway they're on, because they are on dual runway ops because of that, taxiway work. It's really good when they're on 2-3s though, because
runway direction is important, Chris. But more importantly, make sure you got the right footwear for Southside.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Actually,
that's the deal breaker.
I did notice it was a bit squelchy underfoot on the way here. So
over there, especially is it Wood End Lane, Matt, where it's just there's like a lake you have to traverse to get there. Yeah. So, yes, that's a good point, Matt. You might have just saved Chris's footwear there. So there's a lot of planes pinging up at the moment on radar. Now, Flight Radar 24. I mean, that's what you're a part of these days. How long have you been at Flight Radar 24?
So I've been in the business for about just over a year.
Wow. Okay.
The company is actually based in Stockholm. That's where our office is. But we're fortunate to have a very international kind of team. We're a small team. We're based mostly across Europe, but we've also got some people based in the US. I'm based in London. Been there for about a year, and my job is essentially to create any kind of online content which we think people will find interesting, and hopefully that's what we achieve.
Manchester's perfect.
But a great example would be, so we have the Flight Radar 24 blog, which we're putting a lot more effort into in terms of turning around lots more kind of content, sharing about stuff, interesting stuff that's happening. We look at kind of the wealth of flight data we collect as well, which there is a huge amount of. You know, we're receiving that data essentially every few seconds from pretty much every commercial aircraft in the world. And flight data essentially tells a story. You know, what airplanes are doing around the world kind of reflects what society is doing around the world. So there's a reason why there's a big hole of, you know, no traffic over certain parts of the world, because there's a political situation. So it tells a wider story. And I also look after the social media. Not so much Instagram, but definitely Twitter or X, Facebook and LinkedIn, stuff like that as well. But my background is I'm a qualified commercial pilot. I've never worked as a commercial pilot, but I've done a bit of flying on private jets, stuff like that. So I like to think that I kind of bring those two things together. And it's honestly, it's such a great sort of business to be a part of. Growing really fast. We're making great connections with guys like you. Really just trying to engage with the people that use the app, and we have such great feedback about it. It's so good to work with such positive.
It's a great app. I mean, we've used it for many years. Everything from the filters to the UI is so smooth. And I just find, like, random family members who I haven't recommended the app, they just, you know, send me a screenshot, like, what's this plane going over? It's always Flight Radar 24. It's like, well, this plane's been over my head a few times.
Even my youngest uses it utilises it when it's Christmas time and stuff like that, and you've got the Rudolph and the Santa and stuff on the thingy and stuff.
That's a good point. Ho, ho, ho on the Reds. No, I love all that. That's great. Because the kids love that, don't they?
Absolutely.
Love following it all around.
What always surprises me is how many people are aware of Flight Radar 24 who are not necessarily interested in aviation, or at least not ostensibly interested in aviation. You know, when I just, you know, if I get in a chat with someone at a pub and say what I do for a living, they're like, oh, I know that app. You know, because we have that kind of exposure in the media when there's a big storm, or you know, when there's some sort of political situation which affects air traffic. You know, we talk to the news guys quite a lot. So we have that kind of exposure, and the big takeaway for me is just the sheer positivity. And my favourite thing is to when I fly commercially, to say hello to the crew, give them some freebies, which I'll come on to soon, and just have a bit of a chat about how they use the app, what they want to see change, and we just get such positive feedback from them. And I think that's, for me, that's the most important thing.
It's tough to find things that you'd want to change about that app, because it just does exactly what it wanted to. You know, you can,
it really
like
does,
said, Well, you combine it with the filters, like I said, and just the extensive amount of data that's on there. Not just like live data, but you have a lot of like stored data about history and flight numbers and just registrations, liveries, which we like to use. You know, the special livery remarks and stuff, like, all just so useful as a plane spotter, but then also as just a general aviation traveler as well. Just anyone.
Absolutely.
And even like just refreshing it to see what plane reg you got. You know, I love finding out what that is. You know, just like G whatever it is you're going to get. Like maybe it might be up 24 hours in advance, and it's like a big excitement thing. It's like, oh, I'm on this plane, get that off the list.
I mean, I don't know if you do the same, but whenever I fly, I'm immediately kind of looking at the aircraft I'm going to be on. Is there any point going to the gate? Has it arrived yet from the previous?
You can see what gate it's on sometimes because you see the trail going in.
And of course, if you log your flights through various there's many ways you can do that. We have a platform called My Flight Radar 24, which is something. It's quite a sort of a simple tool at the moment. We're certainly looking to do more with that in the future. But if you do kind of log your own travel, you know, you do kind of recognise aircraft. If you fly the same kind of routes a lot, which I tend to do, you think, oh, I've been on this airplane before. I wonder if it's still in as good a condition as it was when I last saw it.
So Sam, my partner uses My Flight Radar 24. She uses it quite a lot. She's always sharing pictures of it on her Instagram and stuff, and, you know, I'm on this plane, I've been on this plane, whatever. What is it exactly? What is that? Is it a social media kind of thing? Is it like an app, is it, or a website, or how does it work?
It's just a very kind of simplistic platform that enables you to track the flights you take. It's really as simple as that. So you kind of you enter your flight details, your flight number. You can normally search by flight number to pick up the origin destination, stuff like that. It fills that stuff in, and it just gives you a kind of visualized map log of where you've been. For me, it's that kind of reminder, like, oh yeah, I travel. That's good.
And it's like a rewarding thing. You can tick off routes. You can look visually where you've been, where you've not been, and if you're someone who flies a lot as well, it's probably quite cool to
absolutely.
recap, isn't it?
And it's something which we haven't actually put a great deal of work into for a while, and I know that it's something we potentially will build out on in the future. So watch this space.
So one thing I'd love people in the chat to do, Chris actually has chat open on his phone as well. So if you folks in the chat want to ask some questions to Chris, they can be technical, they can be more personal to him, they could be just his opinions on the channel or maybe his favourite airline.
No
or
politics.
Something. No politics. Of course,
I've got some great opinions loaded up. Just fire the opinions away.
Some hot takes. Feel free to ask away, folks. I mean, I've got some questions on my own I'd love to get across. And, of course, Chris can't answer every question, so there might be some questions he might not be able to answer, so obviously have respect in that regard. But I'd love to divulge a little bit. And so what is it you do day to day? Of course, you're saying about getting content and working on blogs and stuff. Is there... You ever working on new projects? Are you ever given? Is it like you're doing beta testing? What kind of?
What goes on in the office, Chris?
What more nitty gritty stuff goes on? I suppose.
Well, it's interesting. So first of all, it's not so much a case of what goes on in the office. I work from home. I'm essentially working remotely 5 days a week.
Well, it's a bit commutable.
It's often more like 7. You know what? I would happily commute. Stockholm is a beautiful city, and we're fortunate to go very often to catch up with the wider team in the office. But day to day, I think so. I have some ongoing projects I work on. So coming back to that stuff with the flight data. We love delving into that and trying to look at some trends, look at kind of what those kind of aircraft movements say about bigger stories. I mean, a very simple example might be looking at the Qantas A380 with the nice green livery, the name of which has just completely left my head. I'm currently sort of delving into that, having a look at where that's been since it came into service late last year. So I have those kind of ongoing projects I'm always working on. But on top of that, essentially, we keep an eye on the social media, so we're particularly active on X, but also on Instagram, and LinkedIn and Facebook too. Another big part of what I do is essentially keeping an eye on Flight Radar 24 pretty much 5 days a week, often 7 days a week. Having a look at the top list of most tracked flights and just thinking, why? So we have and there's sometimes that's a question that's easy to answer. Sometimes the top 3 or 4 are F-15s, or say an AWACS aircraft that's kind of orbiting south of Ukraine or over Latvia or somewhere like that. Perhaps that's just kind of understandable. But then occasionally we'll see some kind of we'll just see, I don't know, say a Virgin Dreamliner that's coming from LAX to Heathrow. And you just think, okay, why they're 1,000 people looking at that. These flights are 10 a penny, and we sort of delve into that. So that's a big part of what I do. And then that sometimes develops into a bigger story, and perhaps then there's a reason to write about it. I mean, a great example would be if we look at, say, in-flight emergencies, we have a feature in the app which pushes you a notification if an aircraft squawks 7700, which is the general emergency code. And of course, we immediately like to look into that to see if we can see an obvious reason why that's happening. And a really good example of that would be we see an aircraft that's, say, gone from cruising at 35,000 down to 10,000 in a few minutes. So we can, and then it's stayed at 10,000 and it's diverting. So we can infer that there's potentially a pressurization issue there. So we have an article, like an explainer, that I wrote about how the flight crew deals with pressure emergencies, emergency descents, oxygen, that kind of stuff. And how they do that in different parts of the world based on the height of the terrain, that sort of stuff. So then we'll kind of reshare that out there just so that, because we appreciate that a lot of our audience know a lot about aviation, but a lot of them don't. And we really want to explain that stuff in a simple way. So that's a big part of what I do. Absolutely.
And you mentioned, obviously, your piloting background as well. I assume that helps a lot in all this, because like you said, if it goes down from 30,000 feet to 10,000 feet, you kind of already know as a pilot, you know probably what that means, pressurization and stuff. And does that help a lot, having that knowledge as well?
Absolutely. I think it helps in building content for people who perhaps don't know a huge amount about aviation. Because there was a time when I didn't know that stuff. I've had to learn that from sort of 0 to 100, so I think it gives you that ability to translate that stuff easier. A good example would be looking at altitudes. So I wrote an article a few weeks ago on flight levels and kind of explaining why the flight level system exists. And to do that, you have to explain how altimetry works, how pressure altimeters work, and why we have an altimeter pressure setting. Because if you didn't do that, everyone would 2,000 feet would be different for this guy and different for this guy.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
And that was the way I had to explain it to myself to understand it when I was learning to fly.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good example of where it comes into play, absolutely. But yeah, the emergency descent stuff, very fortunate to have never had to do that in my short amount of time on the private jet. But in our multi-crew training, which comes at the end of commercial flying training, that's a very common exercise as part of that. So it's kind of pressurization pings, oxygen goes on, emergency descent down to the MSA, which is the minimum safe altitude. So, but it absolutely comes in very useful.
So there's some questions that have come in already. Practically Geek, actually, this isn't a question, this is more just a remark, saying thank you to Chris. I think it was him on Flight Radar who shared my virtual reality setup using my VR headsets. X blew up, and I'm now very popular. Thanks, Chris. Did you remember that? There's a chap who watches our live streams and in VR, and he has like a display where you can see our stream, but he also has Flight Radar open, and he's like interacting that in a VR head, virtual reality space as well.
You know, I hate to say I don't remember this, but I absolutely need to look at that, because that's a perfect example of how we just love seeing the app in action.
Yes, exactly.
In that kind of way.
Yeah. That's definitely the future of Flight Radar 24, by the way, and flight streaming. That's definitely the future.
Absolutely,
VR,
absolutely. And you know, the 3D view feature in it's a fairly recent feature in the grand scheme of things anyway, but you may have noticed that a few months ago we partnered with our friends at Infinite Flights.
It's been improved, hasn't it, Chris?
Absolutely. So we brought in a lot of liveries and more sort of accurate modelling into 3D view. Now, that doesn't mean that we have a model and livery for every aircraft. So if there's a sort of a rogue DC-10 flying out around there somewhere in an Alitalia livery, we probably don't have that. But you know, the majority of aircraft we do, and more importantly, Infinite Flight is constantly adding models and liveries, so they'll push into Flight Radar 24 as soon as they drop into Infinite Flight. So really good feature.
They use Infinite Flight. Is that how it works? Because that's a simulator.
It is.
Yes, yeah. I've never used it, but I know a couple of people in our community use it as well. So I didn't know that they used the same models. That's really cool, actually. Smart. Because there's just so much data, isn't there? You got like the models for the 3D things. You got the photography aspect of things. When you click on an airplane, there's obviously a picture there that's usually, 99.9% of the time very up to date, like the current livery, the current everything about it. And also usually very good pictures as well. I've noticed it's very rare you get like someone's iPhone and it's all out of focus and stuff. So how does that work? Does that come from another database?
Yeah, so we have a photography partner called Jet Photos. It's a website. It's a huge... in fact, I think it has I can't remember the exact number. I'll check into it in a little while, but we recently passed a really significant photo milestone for that. It's the largest aviation photo site in the world.
Wow.
And it's a huge network of professional photographers around the world. And essentially, whenever a photograph of an aircraft is uploaded, it's logged by registration, and it's screened by a human most of the time as well, which again is one of the reasons why we have such a high photo quality on there. And those photos push through to Flight Radar 24 under the reg of the aircraft, normally within sort of 2 to 3 weeks, which is why you tend to get a very up-to-date image. And that's why we're always keen to encourage everyone to submit their photos to Jet Photos, even if the quality isn't amazing, let us have a look at that, because we love to see them. And the kind of crowdsourced nature of that is crowdsourcing really is a very big part of Flight Radar 24, which I'm sure we can talk about. But that's a really powerful way for us to just give you that really up-to-date experience, and that's why the liveries tend to be pretty accurate.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like you said, crowdsourcing that information, and of course it's not just... I mean, it's a massive community that helps massively, but also just like being able to work out what to do with that data. Obviously, some of it might not be correct, some of it might be out of date. Like I said, when it comes to liveries and stuff, they might change, and all of a sudden, someone might catch it, and then then it's in the database. There was a question from Terry Edwards, one of our one of our VIPs, moderators, should I say, asking what's required to send data to Flight Radar 24. Now, I guess that goes more into the actual flight data and stuff. How do you even start collecting that data? Like, where does it come from?
So Flight Radar 24 is powered by... Well, it's actually the world's largest network of independent ADS-B receivers. So ADS-B data is published by pretty much every commercial aircraft in the world. So it depends on the phase of flight, but it can be anywhere between every 1 to 2 seconds to every 6 seconds the aircraft broadcasts data, depending on whether it's in the takeoff phase, whether it's on the ground, whether it's in the cruise, depending on where it is. And that data is publicly available. And really, the origins of Flight Radar 24 are in 2 guys in Sweden who one day said, is there any way we can see that and interpret that into sort of into a picture and follow an aeroplane? It really stems from that. So the way it works is we have on our website we have a page where you can apply to host one of these receivers. We send them out for free. They're complimentary.
Yeah.
And we look at the application. We take into account a lot of factors. So the distance it is from an airport, the height it's at, whether it's obscured, what the terrain is like nearby. It's not just a case of are you near an airport. And we have a look at the coverage we've already got and we figure out whether that would add value to you guys, to the people who use the app and use the website.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, we send the receiver out. It's a very simple bit of kit. It just plugs into the 3-pin plug, and we log all of that data. So we get data points from most commercial aircraft in the world every couple of seconds.
Yep.
We log all of that data. We have pretty much all of it historically going back to roughly 2017, 2018. And we can just use that data for a whole bunch of reasons. I mean,
hey Chris, how many people do you reckon you've got transmitting data to your servers at the minute? You reckon?
I don't have an answer to that to hand, but I can have a quick look at that. I should be able to get a number for you of how many receivers we have out there at the moment.
Great, yeah.
And what's the kind of proximity? Do you need one per country, or is it like one per? Would you need one doing
a
a whole
square mile? Or,
roughly would it?
It's a very difficult question to answer. It's so subjective depending on where the receiver is placed. As I said before, it's not just about the position, the distance from an airport or whatever. It's about whether it's obscured, what the terrain is like nearby, whether it's in line of sight, for example, of an airport. That's very important. So, for example, if you have one sat right here, we have great coverage at Manchester, but if you have one sat right here, you're going to get brilliant coverage on the ground, great coverage nearby, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors we take into account.
Yeah. Nigel in the chat saying, I have a receiving station which I use to send data to Flight Radar 24. He's from the Stockport Radio Society, so people in the chat. I've seen a couple of people in the chat actually saying that they've got their receivers set up as well, which is awesome.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for that, because you guys really, you enable us to do what we do. Yeah. And we are very grateful for that. Thank you. It's great. And another thing as well, if you are interested in getting involved in empowering flight tracking through ADSB receivers, and if perhaps you're not necessarily in a position where we think it's the right idea to send you one of our receivers, you can build your own. And we have a tutorial on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and on our website, which kind of instructs you how to do that. It's beyond my technical capabilities, but I know absolutely nothing about this stuff. Anyone with even the smallest amount of technical prowess will be able to follow those instructions and put one together.
Yeah.
And that's how Flight Radar started. We did that ourselves. So you can absolutely do that as well.
Yeah, I was reading online that it started in Sweden, didn't it? And it grew, and now it's... The crazy thing about it is, of course you combine that with other technologies like satellite. The coverage globally is crazy. Like, just the middle of, the Sahara Desert and just South America and Europe and all that. It's crazy how the coverage is insane. And the only real places where it gets, to a different level is over, the oceans, but then you have satellite watching them as well, so it's crazy how...
Satellite just picks up the job.
Yeah.
I mean, my favourite receiver, if I can have one, I guess, is the one we placed in Antarctica last year. That went live last year, and we've now got pretty good coverage to all of the airbridge sort of... The airbridge, I can't think of the name of any of them now. I think it's... Troll Station is one of them.
Right.
We have a receiver there, and so we can have a look at all of those supply flights going into Antarctica. And your viewers might remember last year we had a 787 going to Antarctica for the first time, which is frankly a much more sustainable way of delivering supplies there rather than using these much older aircraft. And it's thanks to that receiver that we're able to to see that stuff and talk about it and share that with you.
It's you guys who did a video on that, didn't you?
We did.
Mate, that video is so good, and I've seen that video reposted so many times.
Yes.
I think the British Antarctic Survey or similar served that video. I think we reshared it, but absolutely, it's an amazing bit of footage. Just seeing a 787 land on what's effectively snow.
Yeah,
let's be honest,
it's wild.
It's
So on the taxi out at Manchester Airport, currently we have a couple of aircraft. There's a 757 on the way out.
Yes.
Alpha Juliet. It's one of the 75s I've been on, actually. It's heading out to Alicante with Jet2, and that's followed by an air tanker lease to Jet2, an A330-200, heading off to Tenerife South. Now, have you ever flown on any of the 757s in your time? Are you fortunate enough?
I am fortunate enough, but we're going a long way back. The first flight I ever took, I think, was when I was about 4 years old. And that was on a 757. That was a Monarch 757 to somewhere in Spain. I can't remember where. And I think I flew on a TUI, at the time it was Thomson, 75 to, I think, Dalaman in what must have been about 2006.
Yeah.
So it's been a while, and I'm kind of scared that I might miss the opportunity to get on one again, so very keen to do so.
Well, I know you were listening in before you came on the show, but we've been doing our own research because we're so fortunate to have so many based here at Manchester. We have it's got 5 or 6, maybe 7. I hard to keep track because they're going. And they're not going to be around for much longer. Maybe another year, we reckon. There's a lot of different estimates, though. Some people saying October this year. Some people saying 2 more years.
It's unpredictable.
It's unpredictable, yeah. And I think the problem is the fuel cost of them. They use so much fuel compared to like the new modern, A321 Neos and stuff. Like our moderator Paul was having a chat to one of the crew yesterday because he had a flight on the 75, and they showed him the numbers, and it's huge. It's night and day the difference between them, and it's a shame because we love the 75s. They're great aircraft, but man, the fuel economy difference is it's
absolutely
hard to ignore.
if I was running an airline, I would be wanting to get them out of service ASAP as well, from a financial perspective at least. But I would say, frankly, if you want to get on a 757, take a domestic flight in the US, or a long or a transcon in the US, and because I think that those guys are going to be flying those aircraft probably up until about year 2070 or something, however long it can possibly be stretched into service before the airframes stop being airframes.
Yes.
But absolutely. But the 321 Neo is an amazing aircraft, and I think it's going to be interesting to watch that Jet2 transition through to the 321 over the next few years, and I think it probably is the right decision.
It's such a big change as well to go from all Boeing to what will probably be all Airbus eventually. Like that is, how often do you see airlines do that? It's just crazy. Because they've ordered about 70 odd Neos, so that's 321s and 320s, and they're ditching the 75s, and they're probably going to ditch the 73s eventually as well. I know they're getting a few second-hand ones in, planes from places like Turkey and stuff, but I think they're just kind of like the stopgap between what is a new, more efficient, generation of aircraft, the Neo.
Absolutely, and for me, I think the thing I'm looking forward to is seeing the 321 Neo in the silver Jet2 livery, because just from the renders, it suits that aircraft very well. I haven't seen a livery that looks bad on an A321 Neo yet.
I agree.
Where's he off to? Bridgetown,
Barbados.
Lovely.
There's
all right for some.
There's one of the pilots who do. He's a bit of like an Instagram kind of guy, and he does a lot of content. He's called John, and he flies TUI Dreamliners. And he's often caught on the streams and stuff, always shouts us out. But man, it's such a lavish lifestyle that, just flying down to Bridgetown, spend a few nights there.
I think we was in Indonesia the other day.
Lying on the beach, just having a great time, yes. And then you come home and, a bit grim when you go back, but it sounds like a very nice life, doesn't it, flying on a Dreamliner?
Look, it's a beautiful day in Manchester, what can I say?
I know, exactly,
it's a shame it's actually, because it's too warm to wear my Flight Radar 24 hat.
Oh, nice.
Which are, before anyone asks, they're not available for sale, I'm afraid. I was kind of hoping to rep that today, but
well, you did mention that. I would buy Flight Radar 24 merch, put it that way, if that ever became a thing.
Noted. But
you said you've got some bits and pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're local to Manchester and you want to pop down to the RVP today and say hello, please do. I have a limited supply of which is it? This camera here.
Yes.
Got some remove before flight tags here with Flight Radar 24 written on the other side.
That. Yeah,
I think I have 198 of these left.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
not many.
not a huge number. So don't flock down in your thousands. I'm sure that won't be the case. But I'll be here for most of the day today. So going to do some filming around the park as well. Have a look at some of the aircraft too. But yeah, please come and say hello and grab yourself a tag.
I know there's a couple of Airliners Live viewers up on the mound today, so I'm sure they'll come and say hello after the stream. We usually have a bit of a a couple of people at the door, to say hello and stuff. So I imagine maybe a few more today.
Oh, nice one.
I think Suze in the chat was asking, how old is Chris?
Yes. I'm 30, I'm 33.
You're 33.
I'm 33, yeah.
I mean, you seem...
Only a pup.
Only a pup, yeah, exactly.
I wish I felt like one.
I'm trying being 43, mate.
I know, but you've had a lot of different career aspects, like you said, pilot, you're doing private jets, and now you work at Flight Radar 24. Like you've seen a lot, you've done a lot. It sounds like you've done a lot of traveling as well.
Seen some things, man.
Yeah. You don't want to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've been fortunate to. I've just been really fortunate to work for some really interesting companies in my time. I mean, my background is in sort of marketing advertising, which is kind of what I do for Flight Radar 24. I like to think of myself more in the... It's almost more like bordering on journalism now, looking at what's happening in the world and talking about it. But yeah, my background's kind of marketing advertising. I've worked for train companies. I've worked for Apple for a while. So I've been in some great businesses, but this is by far, and I don't just say this because I'm here on their behalf, but this is by far the most interesting and just, it's very cliche, the most dynamic sort of organisation I've worked for. It's a small-ish business that just touches so many people's lives, and there's something quite special about that.
There's probably not many sort of businesses that have that scale versus a small team versus how many people actually use the app. It's crazy. And then, like you said, because you've got so much data that's been, crowdsourced, it means that you've got so much information as well that just for a small team is remarkable. There's about, I think, 50 or 60 of us in total. It's not a huge business by any. But for me, that's a positive side because everyone knows everybody. We all know each other very well. We all get on really well, and you can get things done. And again, to use another cliche, when you run an idea up the flagpole, so to speak, it gets heard. And I think again that's another reason why that app is just the finished product is just so good. You need an Airline's Life cap. Well, the days like today when you're looking into the sun, it's not. It's nice to have the sun on you, though. I think that's a nice thing. I did grab Chris a few bits from the office, though. I got
some swag.
Yeah, lanyard.
Mate, you're going to be looking fresh.
Yeah, and I also got you. Actually, I didn't give you this, did I? One of these. These are quite useful, but I don't know if you can take this home if you got the space. That's the question. I know you're flying.
I'm taking a train back.
You get a train back?
Yeah, I anticipated this because there is a gift shop here.
Mate, you can take anything.
Right, that's genius.
Amazing.
Wow.
Right, what have we got? Here's like Christmas. Amazing.
Yeah. We'll catch us Ryanair going out first, though. This is going out to Cologne. Nice little flight there on the 737-800. And we also have another Jet 2 757 going out. This is heading off to Lanzarote Arrecife, which is a place that's very close to our hearts on the channel. We usually do annual trips down there to Lanzarote because plane spotting wise, it's really good.
Perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, there's like
the
beach. Yeah, the beach. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good excuse to get down to the Canary Islands. I think this time of year when usually the sun is quite devoid, but you've picked a good day to come. Literally every stream up until now this year has been rain.
I mean, I got here on Friday. It was grey and rainy, very windy. Yesterday there was that kind of hailstorm that passed through as well. I was thinking, oh no, this doesn't bode well.
I can vouch for the weather on Friday.
Mate, Friday, Matt did a live show here, and it was awful. It was freezing cold. It was windy. It was
it must be tough on the roof.
It does get tough, doesn't it, Matt?
Used to it.
Yeah, used to it. Which is, you just,
Once you've lived here all your life, you get pretty much used to it.
That's it. Right, we'll catch this 757 Beauty.
Oh, yes.
Alpha Juliet, and more information on Flight Radar. It's great. The age of the aircraft, 33 years old. Or 33 years young.
Same age as me.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Same birthday.
So, Jet 2 liveries on the 757.
Yes.
Between that and the silver, what do you prefer?
Definitely silver.
Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
All day.
Now, we I know it's a sad topic, but we lost our favourite one, which was Alpha Bravo. And she was the only remaining one that was silver with the winglets as well. Yeah.
Right.
Nice. And because I think Alpha, what was it, Alpha Charlie coming out, is it?
Yep.
She has winglets, I'm sure. Yeah, she has winglets. But it doesn't really look as good on the holiday scheme, but on the red scheme, it looked gorgeous. It was drop dead gorgeous.
I find it's interesting. You really notice an aircraft without winglets.
Yeah.
Winglets. Yeah. By the way, again, shameless self-promotion, but we have a great explainer on winglets on
nice.
the Flight Radar 24 blog. If you're wondering about different types of winglets, what they're for, how they work, we've got an explainer on that. Do go and have a look. But I think I live pretty much in central London, so I live under the flight path into Heathrow and into City. And occasionally you see, say, the DHL A300 going over. No winglets, of course. It's an older aircraft. It's kind of a fat aircraft as well. It's been on the donuts. And the wings look a bit kind of out of proportion because they look too short. It's like if you see a 737 Classic. Again, you know, you very rarely see an 800 without winglets these days. So it's quite novel.
We talk about the because we have Jet2 here, and they fly a lot of 737, 800 series. And some of them don't have winglets, and they just look bizarre. It's almost like they've been cut off. You know,
it looks like someone's forgotten.
Exactly. But I mean, they work. They work fine. I think they just had, like you said, there's probably a very good explanation on your blog, and they have the benefits. In fact, Chester Mike's just put the link in the chat to the blog as well.
Oh, thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate that. I mean, in the tall and short of it is that I'll explain it. So, the way that the air moves over the wings, it generates a vortex at the tips. One of the things that the winglets do is help to reduce that because they stop the mixing of the air from above and below the wing. And they also just make the aircraft more efficient at high altitude and high speed, which means less fuel.
Lots of de-ice on the wings there. Look at that spray.
Beautiful.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Got a guy I learned to fly with who flies those things for Air Tanker. So he does the Jet2 stuff as well.
Gorgeous, yes.
Yeah, great job.
We love seeing them here. The butter machine, I'm yet to fly on one of them Air Tankers, but we see them, you know, year round now, don't we, Matt, with Jet2?
I've been fortunate to fly on both of the leased aircraft, both Alpha Kilo and Golf Mike as well. And we've also got another Jet2 757 heading out, and also a Virgin Atlantic A330. I did see a message in the chat, and it only just struck me. There's only one plane with the silver livery, you know, the 757 fleet in Jet2. There's only one left.
One left.
Yeah, because it's the
Alpha Indy.
The two that have retired this winter were both in that livery, which is super sad.
Oh, that's sad.
So, Alpha India. And Alpha India was the oldest in the fleet anyway. And
36 now,
36. I think he's pushing 37 in October, I think, if I remember rightly. It's wild. So, folks, like I said, our guest with us today is Chris from Flight Radar 24. He's based here in the UK, but obviously it's a global project, Flight Radar 24. And feel free to ask any questions about Flight Radar 24. Chris is a pilot himself as well, but also works currently for Flight Radar 24 full-time. Is that like your full-time thing? So feel free to ask any questions about aviation, about Flight Radar 24, I suppose would be a very good thing, or about himself, pilot career, anything you want to ask. I did see a question, though, earlier. I forget who asked it. It might have been asked a few times, actually. Have you got a favourite livery on a plane?
Okay, so the first thing that springs to mind is not a present livery, so I'd say BA Lander on a 777.
Oh, on a triple as well.
So an old 777, a short 777 with a Landau. There was something quite special about that, and I think it goes back to growing up outside the airport. Pretty much around the time the 777 started to become a lot more prolific. The Heathrow Visitor Centre that I mentioned that used to exist, they had a kind of a mock-up of a 777 flight deck in there, and it was like, this is the aircraft of the future. Which again ages me perfectly. That was pretty special. I'd say. I'm actually quite a fan of the Iceland Air livery, which is on the aircraft that's just the new one, just taxiing over there on the Max. I think the blue stripe looks quite good. The yellow one kind of looks like Ryanair.
I agree with that.
I agree. Not super popular from what I've gleaned, but I quite like that. I think just anything that stands out in the right way.
Yes, that's a good shout. Matt, have you got a favourite? Have we ever asked you that question?
Favourite livery.
I mean, for me, while you think,
I'm a fan of any livery on the 350 at the minute. Anything that sits on a 350.
The A350 is
brilliant.
You know?
The only thing that hasn't been on an A350 is me. I've never been on one.
You've never been on one?
Me neither.
Gosh.
Desperate.
They're nice.
If there's any of our airline colleagues watching and want to offer me the chance to rectify that, please feel free to reach out to Chris at fr24.com.
I'm a big fan of the Virgin livery on the 350. Just looks perfect on that airframe, personally.
We're going to have them back at Manchester soon, aren't we, as well? They're currently just doing A330s at Manchester, but in the summer they have, usually, is it Fearless Lady and Lady Emmeline, is the two names? And there's a new one as well. What's the new one? Soul Rebel?
GV Bob.
GV Bob, yeah,
Yes.
Soul Rebel. Based in Manchester, using the summer, because I think they're in a leisure configuration. I think that's why they use them. So we'll see them, hopefully, back. But we do have the Singapore Airlines here, and Cathay Pacific usually used to fly them, and sometimes Qatar Airways. But Virgin, man, I think just looking at the interior of Virgin, the style of them, and oh man, I'd love to fly on a 350 with them.
I haven't seen a livery that doesn't look good on an A350. It's just one of those aircraft. And to be honest, I'm inclined to say the same about the Dreamliners as well. I think that most liveries on a Dreamliner look pretty good. For the same reasons they look good on an A350. I think they're both pretty good looking aircraft.
Yeah.
Question from Danny Taylor, one of our VIPs, asking, is there any future updates you can shed light about on Flight Radar 24?
I absolutely can shed some light on future updates to Flight Radar 24. So we actually have first of all, we update the app very regularly with, small incremental updates, which will be updated by your phone, or obviously pushed to the web straight away, much like every other app does. We have a few new features which should be dropping next week. So first of all, I'm just going to check my notes here to make sure I don't miss anything.
Yeah, no worries.
Let's have a quick look.
And yeah, Joanna, if you want to do a vlog on the A350 Virgin, I would love to see that.
Oh, yes.
Virgin cabins, there's something about them that is very, elegant and nice.
It's very plush, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And on a 350, that'd be nice.
So, next week, looking first of all at the web, there's going to be updates to the web and to the mobile apps on iOS and Android. So the first thing you'll notice is that there's a bit of a change to the look and feel. So we've redesigned the airport pins, which sounds like a very minor thing, but I don't know if you've experienced this, but when you try and tap on an airport on Flight Radar 24, you often end up tapping on an aircraft instead.
Correct, yeah.
And we are aware of that. And it's because, frankly, most people are looking to track aircraft and tend to go into the airport data through a different way. We've redesigned the airport pins so they're going to be quite a lot bigger. And they're going to the kind of info box that pops up will have a little bit more information on it than it would have had before. So it's going to be easier to tap on that. On that. The aircraft icons have changed ever so slightly, again, just to kind of improve the overall balance and the look and feel of the app, and it's all about usability. Aircraft flags. So when you tap on an aircraft, you get the info box that comes up. We also have the option to have a kind of permanent info box next to the aircraft, so you can have an airline logo there now. You can have sort of certain amounts of flight data, so you can get that kind of top-line information without actually tapping on the aircraft itself. We've redesigned that so there'll be more information in there. It's easier to see. It will be a bit less obtrusive to the whole experience. And we've also added a huge number of airline logos, updated airline logos, which again have been reskinned slightly so that they can be seen and don't busy the screen up quite so much. So that's the kind of the big visual changes. There's a few other things. So I think the biggest thing you're going to notice is two things. First of all, we're bringing the filters we have on the web to the mobile app. We already have them in place in some way, but we now will have all of the same filtering options on mobile. That's on iOS and Android. And again, filters are a huge thing for us. We really appreciate how useful people find those filters, and it's a big development focus for us, over the coming months and years. And we're looking at ways to sort of integrate and make those filters a lot more complex so that we can start filtering by action and stuff like that. But the next change there is just having those filters in full in the mobile app. And finally, we're going to bring what we call activity tracking. So essentially, you're going to be able to track flight in real time from your mobile home screen. So you don't have to have Flight Radar 24 open. You can just select the aircraft on Flight Radar 24, go into a different app or go back to your home screen, and you can have that kind of that sticky update on your lock screen. Similarly, if you have an iPhone 14, I think it's a 14 or a 14 Pro or beyond, so you have the dynamic island at the top of the phone, it's compatible with that as well. So you can see your flight data in there. And we think that that's particularly useful if you're tracking a family member, or if you're waiting for someone to pick someone up at the airport, that kind of thing. And a huge number of people use Flight Radar 24 to get to the airport and pick their families up. So that's important.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah. Speaking about that family member thing, it's funny how in our family, and I know a lot of families do this, it's almost like tradition. When there's a family member doing a flight, you have to track them. You just check up on where they are in the world and send them pictures, so when they land, they see the pictures all pop up. I love all that culture that's kind of arisen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, we'll get this beautiful 7.5.
We've got some support to catch up on as well, mate.
I know, I'll catch up on that after the 7.5, and then I've got a couple more questions, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this here is actually the program. That's what
yeah.
Live, so sometimes I like switching between.
So how do you, so you just kind of, have you got like a toggle? You just select whichever view you want people to see at once. Yeah.
We have a lot more cameras than this because usually with that does a remote cam. So this is his gear view, so it's with a tripod and all that. And he'll want to go to the south side or the apron locations, and it lets us like another view that everyone can see. It's able to be fair, it's better because
you might as well just run air traffic control.
yeah.
It's funny, I'm just going to grab my sunglasses actually.
You're right, temperature-wise,
it's quite warm, but
yeah.
I don't know how many windows you guys can open.
There's some over there, okay, but I'll open it while you go. Appreciate it. Yeah.
It's just a sweater on, I guess, but it's the sweater
Mate,
with branded. So
You can never plan, that's the problem. Like, we do it all the time. I always try to get someone that's when I walked in here this morning, it was so cold, like, I was shivering. No. I prefer them there. All right. Yeah. That has an aircon on it, but I don't think it's that hot yet. All you have to do is open the window and just freeze it very quick. We have a bit of support to catch up on. First of all, where did we get up to?
Chris Luby, I think we're up to with the gifty.
Yes, Chris Luby with a gifted membership. Thank you, Chris. Jack with a gifted membership. Audrey with a gifted membership. Jason with a gifted membership. Jamie Foy with a 15 months premium economy saying, keep up the good work. Nice to watch on my birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jamie. Jill with 8 months of premium economy saying, 8 months of flown. Love the channel, guys. Thanks. Darren with a 1 month of premium economy saying, good morning, Andy and Martin. It's Martin's not here today. It's Andy. Matt's up on the camera. And we've got a very special guest, Chris from Flight Radar 24. Got his sunnies on them. Very, very prepared. Also got Stephen, 20 months of premium economy, saying good morning all. Natasha with a €6.50 saying happy birthday, Jacob. A lot of birthdays today.
Happy birthday, Jacob.
Also, thanks for another brilliant show. Thank you, Chris, for being here with us.
Thank you.
What's going on now? We'll catch this Virgin going up first, and then we'll resume the rest of the support. They absolutely roar out.
Yeah, you really feel that, don't you?
Yeah.
Feel vibration on this tower when they dip up.
Weirdly, the loudest we catch here, though, is another A330 with the CF6 engines.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's got the Rolls-Royce Trent 700s, which sound great.
They do.
But louder than that is the CF6s on the Air Lingus A330s.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
And we'll probably catch them today, and they proper make this tower rattle,
Nice.
John Gilbert gifted a membership. Mikey D with an 8 months of business class saying, hello, Chris. May I have a free membership from me and my friends? Awesome. The memberships aren't that much. In fact, it's free pretty much, isn't it?
I've had a silver membership for a few years now, and it's great. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Nice one. Thank you for that. It's it's understandably, we're a business. We have to have a commercial sort of model in place to a certain extent. But we do include, quite a lot. So as you kind of go up those membership tiers, as well as the stuff you see with the changes in the way ads work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You also get access to a lot more historic flight data, stuff like that. So it really depends on how you're planning on using the app and how you're planning on using the data as to whether it's worth it. But yeah, absolutely, it's 100% free, free to use, and with no intention of changing that.
It's like with anything, and there's costs involved on your end, and that helps.
Got to pay the bills.
Got to pay the bills. Tom and Ann with a 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Tom and Ann. Appreciate that. Hit the bing bong button. Thank you, Tom and Ann. Are you guys at the RVP today? Usually at the cafe. I think we might be able to see you there. I'm sure we'll see you after the stream anyway. Like I said, feel free to come over to the tower. Chris has got some goodies that people may be able to get their hands on as well, if he doesn't run out, that is.
I also have 10. I have 10 Flight Radar 24 stickers.
Stickers?
Just well, it's a sticker with Flight Radar 24 written on it. I don't know what else to say. So even more limited number of those. Great for laptops. Great for the back of the Mac.
Yeah,
looks really good. And of course the removable flight tag, which upgrades everybody's luggage to God tier luggage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Johnny 5 with a 3 months of business class saying, morning, everyone. Thank you all for the support today. It's been pretty overwhelming, actually. I know I kind of have not been attending to them as quick as normal because we have a guest on and really, really getting deep into these questions, aren't we, today? But a lot of questions coming in the chat as well. Like I said, folks, if you want to ask some questions. Mate, I was literally just about to mention that. I could see that on
what do we got?
Let's have a look, shall we? So that we're looking sort of southwestish, sort of southish. It's probably that. Probably. Do you reckon it's a wide body, Matt? It's hard to tell.
It
looks like one.
Wide,
yeah. I think it's the United Airlines coming from London Heathrow to Houston Airport to Boeing 777. November 78013 on the reg. Awesome. I'm using Flight Radar to track that as well. You can just see it's made a turn, actually. Slight right turn. And I think you even get information about the track, don't you? And all that. Yeah, track 324 on that.
Yeah, nice one. And again, that kind of depends on the tier of subscription you have as well. That's another thing that links into that.
Yeah.
Probably worth mentioning, actually, a question I get quite a lot is with relation to the altitude measurement you see.
Yeah.
So we... again, this is kind of covered in the explainer that I wrote for the Flight Radar 24 blog on flight levels.
Yeah.
Self-promo alarm going off again.
Yeah.
But essentially, the aircraft's altitude is measured based on a certain pressure setting. The altimeter, in its most basic form, is a barometer. It measures air pressure. So you have to put a setting in that to use as kind of a baseline. And flight levels and high altitude travel tends to work on 1013 hectopascals.
Yeah.
We call it the International Standard Atmosphere or Standard Pressure Setting. And that is what the altitude reading you see on Flight Radar 24 is generated from.
Yeah.
Because we have to use something consistent.
Right.
So that's why occasionally you might look at, say, you might be on 3D view, or you might be looking at an aircraft that's landing, and you might sort of see a bit of a dip in altitude, or it looks like it's over the runway a few hundred feet up. And that's purely because when you change that pressure, so let's say the pressure outside is 1014. If we're measuring it based on 1013, the aircraft's going to look about 200 feet higher than it is, because if you add pressure, you add altitude. So that's kind of a little bit of clarification, actually, that we always like to give on that, because we get that question a lot.
That's really interesting, yeah.
KLM 73, departing back to Schiphol.
Yeah, I don't know why I had to click on that on radar just to see where it was going.
Yeah.
Where could it be going? Yeah, one of the oldest routes here at Manchester. Maybe the oldest route.
Yeah,
that
the
still
first flight
serves.
out of Manchester was from
Schiphol,
yeah.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah, they originally weren't going to fly to Manchester Airport. They were going to fly to Barton Aerodrome, which is another airport here at Manchester. But I don't think they could make it work, could they, logistically, just because the grass runways there. Back then, they had very different aircraft, of course. This was almost 100 years ago we're talking now. But, they operate lots of flights here at Manchester Airport.
Great suspension on the 737, the grass runway, no problem.
Yeah.
Put a grass kit on it.
Maybe even one of the 73200s. I watched Gabe. You know Gabe from Flight Radar 24, Chris?
Yep.
Yeah.
Finally got on board the 200.
Finally got on board one of the 200s
yesterday.
I seen. Yeah, it's fantastic.
That was another thing I was going to mention is the videos on your YouTube are great. They're actually really good videos just in general, not just from I guess a company point of view, but I think they're actually
just in general they're fantastic.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. So Gabe, has he got a bit of a background? Is he sort of bit of a YouTuber himself? Or?
He tends to do a lot of the travelling around. He gets a lot of the cushy jobs in.
He gets a good job.
He gets So he's spent pretty much the last month or so in around Venezuela, looking at some amazing kind of 737 classic work.
He got
out
in the
there.
jump seat the other day, I believe, as well.
Wow,
yeah,
what a guy.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, now finally been on the 200. So Gabe's background is essentially as a professional journalist, which is why he's so amazingly good at what he does.
Brilliant at what he does.
And we balance that content with, there's a lot of people out there that review flights, and they're great, and they're insightful, and we like that, and we do that, but we don't just do that. We try and add something extra to it.
It's a hard market, isn't it? Like reviews and all stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of people doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's saturated, but there's a lot of content to choose from. So that's why we are quite selective about what we make video content about. But I haven't done a huge amount of video for Flight Radar myself yet, but last year I was very fortunate to get on a test flight, the A321 XLR. We flew from Toulouse to the North Pole and back, basically.
Wow.
And that was a great experience. And we figured out I was the first non-Airbus employee to fly on the XLR.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of special.
Amazing.
That was a really awesome thing to do.
Yeah.
And of course, going to get hopefully some great video here at the RVP today, because it's actually quite a beautiful day. There's some really interesting static exhibits here, of course, which I'd like to have a look at. Personal favourite is the Trident.
Really?
Massive fan of the Trident.
Yeah, have a look. There's 5 static aircraft here. So behind the Concorde hangar, we've got the Avro RJX, which you can actually get on board, I believe, on most days. I think it'll probably be open today.
Yep.
Pop your head in there, see if it's open. Of course, the Concorde's here, flagship.
DC-10's sparkling. I watched when I was leaving the park on Friday. They was actually giving it a good scrub. And
That's
wash.
good, yeah.
So
they do accumulate a lot of dust, don't they? Dust and all sorts.
Get weathered.
Big,
Trident.
tough job keeping them. I always think about how the aircraft are placed museums like Duxford, if ever you go there.
Yeah.
A lot of outdoor static airliners there. And it's just very difficult to maintain them, especially when you're mostly working with volunteers.
Yeah. And speaking of volunteers, so the chaps upstairs with the commentary, that's from the Aviation Society, a great society. I think they're the second biggest in the UK Aviation Society, based here at Manchester Airport, and they have a volunteer engineering team who look after the planes here. And then there's a separate company called Heritage Concorde, another non-profit organisation, who look after Concorde, and they do all the Concordes up and down the country as well. So they're down south, Brooklands, Duxford, and then up here. Because we have a lot in the UK, don't we? A lot of Concordes preserved.
Certainly do.
And the one here is just in such good condition. Good,
It's
great.
Alpha Charlie, the one
Alpha
here, right?
Charlie,
Yeah, the best reg as well.
Allegedly,
BOHC, I mean, come on.
Yep.
Perfect.
She's gorgeous. We'll have to see if we can pop her head in and see if... Because you can go in there, you can walk through, and you don't need to pay or anything. But if you want to get on board and do a tour, we'll have to see if they're doing tours today. I'm not sure if they do on... They should do, actually. It is a weekend, isn't it? So, yeah, we'll go and see. We'll go and have a look.
Nice one.
It is gorgeous. So when you walk in that hangar, though, it's a weird sensation to see the Concorde just there and looking beautiful.
Yeah.
And the one here as well, I don't know if you know, they actually have the nose working as well, so they can lower and raise the nose as well, which is spectacular to see.
Awesome. I think I saw a video of that a couple of weeks ago or something. I can't remember who shared it, but yeah, really, really cool thing to watch.
Yeah.
I think the Brooklands Concorde, if ever you're down that way, is really worth a visit as well.
Yeah.
Brooklands Museum is a fantastic place. I used to volunteer there when I was about 15 years old.
Yeah.
I used to do sort of tours of the BAC 111 because I've got a bit of a thing for British jets. I really like British jets.
Yes.
And my favourite thing about it was that they would first of all, they would give you the keys because it has a door which has a key.
Yeah.
So they sort of give the 15-year-old the keys to the airline. And
I've got the keys.
Exactly. And not a lot of people, you would go in there, you'd flick the battery on and get the flight deck lit up. And the best part about it was the front stairs and the back stairs that went up and down.
Yeah.
And not many people would go on the 111. Not many people knew what it was. So I just spent all day putting the stairs up and down. It was great fun.
Yeah. A question in the chat. We did gloss over this briefly. Chris, how does Flight Radar deal with out-of-range aircraft such as transatlantic ops?
So first of all, transatlantic and stuff in the middle of the ocean tends to be tracked by satellite or GPS. That's mostly how we pick up any kind of coverage that we can't get with ADS-B. And you'll see that on the website and on the mobile apps. You'll see that with the aircraft is blue, that's tracked by satellite. When it's yellow, it's tracked by ADS-B.
Right.
We can also infer an aircraft's position using something called multilateration or MLAT. And that's basically using a kind of the simplest way to explain it is like a triangulated signal where we can infer the route that something probably is. So in areas where we've got slightly less coverage, you'll see that kind of dotted line and sometimes when the aircraft gets into an area of better coverage, the track will correct itself. I mean, one of the real issues that we're facing in the world of flight tracking right now is GPS interference. That's both jamming and spoofing.
Okay.
And we're seeing this in a big way in certain parts of the world. I mean, understandably, we see it in Ukraine, we see it kind of over the Black Sea, we see it in certain parts of Africa, again, depending on what's happening politically.
Yep.
We have a real issue with it in Russia as well. And what that means is that individuals with nefarious intentions basically can make it look like the aircraft is somewhere it is not. And we have some great we have a great strategy in place, which I won't talk about, but we have some ideas that can deal with that. And over the coming months, we're going to be talking more about that because we're keen to be open about it and what causes it, how we're going to deal with it. It's not a widespread problem, but we do have it in particular parts of the world. But typically, when an aircraft goes out of range, we can sort of triangulate that course, and it will correct itself when it gets into an area of much better coverage.
A lot of people talk about the Concorde at London Heathrow. I forgot about that one.
Of course, yeah.
Bit sad about that one, isn't it? It's just left there, but
it kind of, I mean, when you go past it,
it
sort of does the opposite of what I think it's meant to do. It's sort of, it looks a bit sad, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. Just left out there. But the thing about the one here at Manchester, it never originally was in a hangar. They placed it there and then built the hangar around it.
Wow.
And I think putting it indoors is a wise move. As a result, it's very, very clean and very protected.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, on the Concorde tours at Manchester, you can sit in the cockpit seats. You can indeed, and it is tiny in there. Have you ever been on board a Concorde before?
I have, yes.
Yeah, tiny, aren't they? Little. It's funny how not very luxurious it is on board. It's just
absolutely.
It's just very basic.
Sort of 4 hours max, isn't it? And then,
yeah, that's it. You're not on it for long.
I mean, as I'm a fairly small man myself, so whenever I sit in an aircraft like that, it feels like it's actually kind of been designed for me.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan.
The clientele.
I can't reach anything, but it's...
You're just, 20 or 30 years too late on that?
I'm afraid so, yeah. And I don't have a 40-year career on a 747 behind me either to transition onto one.
Yeah. A couple of questions about the taxiway work. So, here at Manchester Airport, there's a lot of planes doing strange things. Backtracking, which is where the plane goes onto the active runway to go the opposite way to the flow of the traffic to get to the start of the runway because the taxiway is closed in front of us. That's due to finish on the 8th, right, Matt? I think
correct.
The date...
It's been extended from the 2nd, I believe, due to weather.
Oh, the 2nd, so I mean, that would have been open today then if it was on.
So, something like
but yeah, the weather, I was like, well, you could have foreseen that, couldn't you? It's Manchester.
Yeah.
It's been non-stop rain.
They have made good progress on it, though, I must say.
They have, yeah. So hopefully up by Friday then, Matt, you should see the opening, hopefully.
Don't count your chickens.
It's worth a shout out to the guys that work in on the airline side in scheduling and flight planning and stuff like that. Because even a small thing like that, it really adds to their workload, and they do a great job in adjusting those schedules.
The ATC and stuff, because it might become normal to them after a few weeks of the ops going on, the work in progress. But they've still got a big job on their hands trying to space and vector aircraft in and stuff. So.
And then one of the first weekends of that work, when we were streaming, they had thick fog as well.
Yeah.
So they had to close the second runway because of the fog.
Just to add.
Yeah, and then they had that taxiway, and then the planes were backtracking. It was just like,
mental,
you could tell it was a lot of work, but they did a 10 out of 10 job. Flying on 2 Concorde flights, would love to revisit the aircraft. Ken, that is so awesome. I'm so sad I've never seen the Concorde up close, though. I was thinking, like, moving around. Like, could you imagine here at Manchester on the south side, going off runway 23 left? That would have been...
They'd definitely wave, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would.
There'd be a waving crew.
Yeah, I'd hope so. Yeah.
I don't know whether you'd see them, because the windows are tiny, but...
Yeah.
And stick the hand out.
Yeah. So another thing about flight radar is I noticed you have a lot of data about not live data, so things like flight numbers and routes and stuff. Is that also kind of built up over, like, is someone there typing in everything, or is it like...
Thankfully not, because I wouldn't want it to be me.
Yes.
But no, thankfully we have we have a series of professional partners we work with to get sort of third-party other data in. So I think with schedules, the leading provider of schedules is a business called OAG.
Yeah.
So I believe we work with those guys. But we have for the things that we can't, or that we are not the best person to generate information, we will work with the best partner to do so. I mean, it's even the 3D view is kind of an example of that. You know, we could have designed that ourselves, but you know, we found a great solution in Infinite Flight, which we noticed that a lot of our subscribers use Infinite Flight.
Yeah.
It's a great little simulator, really good for mobile devices, and so yeah, it just makes sense to kind of collaborate with the right people.
I suppose you've got to know your depths as well, haven't you, Chris, like you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Chris in the chat asking, how do you keep track of Santa? Does he have a transponder? Is that MLAT? Is that satellite? I don't know.
Yeah, it's so well. Again, let's see. It would be ADS-B over land,
yes,
and it would be satellite over the sea, over the ocean. Funnily enough, I was looking at the Santa tracker, the Christmas just gone, and
yeah.
I think I opened it up once during the night, and the moment I opened it, he was over Christmas Island. I was like, no, surely not. I took a screenshot of it straight away. I was like, oh, that's perfect. I think I tweeted it as well.
Absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
It's funny when them things happen, isn't it?
And then I think my boss opened it not long after, and he was over North Korea. So very sort of opposing kind of positions.
Heading off to Gran Canaria. Jet2, A321neo, G-Sun Charlie on the reg. Yeah, they've made a big order of these Neos, Jet2 have. And like I said, it's going to be a seismic shift for their fleet. I know Paul was actually flying out on one of the 321 Neos, wasn't he, on down to...
Correct, down to
Lanzarote, yeah. They look really smart. I love the lighting that they've gone with, the more modern airliners. That's something that is quite striking. The thing about Jet2 is they've just kept the same seats and stuff, though. So for most people, I don't think you'd notice the difference, but you do have that nice lighting, a bit more spacious, a bit more airy, a bit more smooth of a ride, quieter as well. Is one of the things. Even on like the Maxes and stuff, like me and Matt were flying on a Ryanair 737 Max. What was last year? Was it?
Correct. Yeah.
It's crazy how quiet they are.
Yeah.
Like we were just walking around the flight, around the the cabin, to the toilets or whatever, and it's just there's no engine sound. It's like where's the engine sound?
That was one of the first flights I've got up, and you don't have that din ringing in your ears and stuff like that. You know?
That's it.
It's weird.
Yeah, I think it's I think was it like 15% quieter or something like that. I can't remember what the statistic is, but. Again, sort of when you have traffic on the Heathrow, over central London going into Heathrow, you really notice the difference in those aircraft with the high bypass engines and that stuff. But yeah, as a passenger, I mean, I came down on a Neo yesterday, and you don't even notice the. I mean, it's probably a derated takeoff anyway, but you just don't even hear the thrust coming in for the takeoff roll.
Yeah.
And I tend to sit sort of towards the back of the wing at a window seat because I like to see what the aircraft's doing. I like to see the configuration.
Yeah.
So normally that's where it's loudest and the most shaky. But it's like it's not even moving at all.
Yeah.
When I went aboard the XLR last year, the flight was about 11.5 hours round trip.
Yeah.
So it's the longest flight I think probably the longest I've ever done actually, but certainly the longest I've ever done on a narrow body.
Yeah.
And I sort of did a mix of the cabin is kind of mocked up with some business class and some economy class sort of indicative seating, and I spent some time in both of those to kind of get the feel of it. And it's weird because it is an A321, and I'm not quite sure how it's been done, but it doesn't really feel like a narrow body, even in the economy section.
Yeah.
I think it's a slightly thinner cabin walls. It's the redesigned lighting, and this was just an indicative cabin.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting to see what those cabins look like in service. And I think that I think the first one will be Aer Lingus. I think.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
I think there's every chance you could utilise them at Manchester actually with
maybe.
Yeah.
With limitations at Dublin and stuff.
A319 and a Star Alliance special heading back to Munich. Delta Alpha India Lima Tango on the reg. This Lufthansa flight 2501. Beautiful stuff. I do like on radar as well. You got on flight radar. You got all the call sign, the flight number, the equipment. It's just there, and then obviously the special livery name as well. I love all that. I love how it's just like jumps out at you.
Every bit of information you need is there.
It is everything you need at your fingertips.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see the difference between the flight number and the call sign, because the call sign just gives you a little bit more insight into. Just occasionally, you'll see a tango, a T at the end, so it's training or if it's a ferry or something like that.
ISP, like you say, positioning flight.
Positioning,
Or you would have got the shuttle service with British Airways, wouldn't you?
Correct. Yeah.
Lovely flight, that, isn't it? Lovely flight.
I've never done it before. I think the air time was about 25 or 30 minutes. Cruised at 180, so right in the turbulence layer, which was lovely. Seatbelt signs did not go off. No coffee, but apart from that, and I've never seen cabin crew hand out bottles of water so fast.
Yes,
I was really impressed.
Yeah.
And of course, the shuttle flights originated with the Hawke Siddeley Trident, of which there is one here.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of the origin of that. So. interesting stuff.
One thing I didn't know, because I've had that short flight a few times. I've never flown on business. I was just fly economy because it's a short flight, isn't it? But the business seats are the same as the economy seats. There's no actual difference in the actual seats. I always thought they'd at least have a bit of a nicer seat or something, but the same.
Yeah, I think the BA... So if you look at, say, a BA cabin, and you're in, Club Europe. I think the big selling point of that is the empty middle seat in the row of three. So I think that's the kind of key thing. Plus, of course, the complimentary bar, the food. I actually flew with BA back from Stockholm last year in Club Europe, specifically because they'd just brought out their Christmas dinner. I really wanted to try it, and it was excellent, by the way. So well done, BA. Great Christmas dinner.
Nice. Pigs in blankets there.
I think there was a pig in blanket. Yes,
get in.
A pig in blankets. One.
Get in there.
Ken in the chat saying, when I worked at Liverpool Airport, we always used to keep an eye on Flight Radar 24 on nights so we can have another cup of tea before we had to go out and work on the inbound. I think Flemo does that as well. People who work at the airport will keep an eye on it.
Tea breaks powered by Flight Radar 24.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love that. On board with that.
Yes. Hello. Oh, hang on. One second.
What's that, sorry?
When's the Royal Jordanian coming in?
April, I think. Well, the end of March, I think. 28.
What's the tie doing it? No.
3rd of April is it?
What's the tie doing it?
I don't know. It's awaiting something. It's not that far. Yeah, no,
TUI Dreamliner going out next. Heading off to Montego Bay. Beautiful destination. Yeah, feel free to get some questions in the chat, folks. We have Chris here from Flight Radar 24.
I always feel like the Dash 8 Dreamliner kind of looks like it's the wrong size.
Stubby.
Yes.
The 9 is kind of perfect. The 10 looks a bit silly. The 8 looks a bit silly. But
Everything looks a bit compressed, doesn't it?
It does.
Sue's with quite a bit of a technical question. I don't know if you can answer this. Saying, who decides what photo is put up on Flight Radar of the aircraft?
Yeah.
So is there like, you mentioned there was a vetting process to get them on the database, but when you click on a plane, there's always one at the front. Is there like somebody who does that, or is it a mix of things?
No. So once the pictures are approved, they're basically just ordered by recency, and then there's a certain lag, and then when the database updates it, it will be whichever is the most recent at the time. So essentially, there isn't a kind of a way of guaranteeing that your picture's going to get in slide number 1. But by all means, if you regularly take high quality pictures of aircraft, please do submit them to us, because we love seeing all of them. And of course, when we put together content for our blog or elsewhere or on social media, we mine through lots of different pictures of the same aircraft. They're always searchable by registration.
Is there a certain genre of picture you look for, Chris, or does it not matter? Is there a preference you go for?
No, not at all. I mean, we're keen to see everything. I guess just high quality pictures of the aircraft, as much of the aircraft as possible, I guess. But no, really, it's the more striking, the better. And we have such a huge library then to work with.
Why does the A220 still show as a Bombardier C-Series? I don't think it does.
No, the ICAO code is BCS1 or BCS3, I think, for the 100 or 300, and that's purely just because that was the ICAO identifier they gave it when it was built. But the aircraft model itself should be Airbus A220-X.
I think that explains the question he was asking, because it does throw you off a little bit when you see that, what is it, BSC1 or BSC3 or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, though, because it's not always been an Airbus, has it? It was a Bombardier aircraft to start with.
Absolutely, yeah. Sort of rescued the project, I think. It's a great aeroplane, and I was at the Paris Air Show last year, and Airbus were very kind enough to show us around quite a few of their aircraft, but we had a look at the Air France A220-300, which was brand new aircraft. And it's a really clean, lovely, spacious aeroplane. And again, it feels incredibly spacious for such a small aeroplane.
Yeah. I've never flown on one. We have a special, highlights for it when it's here at Manchester, because then Pratt & Whitney, 1100 Gs that they have on board, they have that distinct, what we call a Wookiee howl. When they go to take off thrust.
So much so we've got our own dedicated emote to it.
Yeah, people in the chat want to get the Wookiee emote in the chat.
I did wonder what the Wookiee emote was. I saw that a few weeks ago, and I was wondering what that was. So I'm glad that you clarified that.
I don't know if we started that trend, because I can't remember anyone calling it before that. But now I'm out and about, and people just call them Wookiee howls as a norm now, which kind of makes sense.
Love that.
Yeah.
Even got merch dedicated to them as well.
We have merchandise. Danny asking Chris a question with the whole personal flight tracking. Is it ever going to be a thing that you can sort of start an upcoming flight to log where you go? You know, for us lazy people who want to log. Do you know what he means there? I mean, I think it's more. I mean, there's obviously my flight radar, which is
I think what you might be touching on there is the alert kind of side. I'm not sure. Forgive me if that's not what you're asking. But essentially, if you have a look at in your mobile app, there's a sort of a bell icon in the bottom toolbar. You can set up an alert there by flight number, by aircraft. So you can set it up by a lot of different things. But typically, I find I track interesting aircraft based on the reg, so I tend to pop the reg in. I mean, that was how we kept an eye on the A380 that went over to Qantas with the really interesting livery late last year. You know, we had a flight alert set up for that. It doesn't doesn't save your kind of history of when it's been seen. It will just push you a notification to say this is now flying. And you can customize that by, say, when it reaches a certain altitude or a certain speed. And of course the Air France A320 turning up on call.
Yes, perfect timing. I kind of thought you
talked it in.
But
I did not see that. No.
Someone in the chat raised it, didn't they? And that's how we got into that topic. That's awesome. Yeah, Air France often operating these to Manchester from Paris. Behind that is the Aer Lingus A330.
Which, again, aforementioned.
Yes, so I'm excited. The thing about Manchester is there's a lot of the same. You know, it's a nice flow we got here. We know kind of what's coming up, what to expect on a show like this. And one thing that's really glorious about Manchester is the variety. So you're getting all these little like biz jets. There's not been so many today, but we usually get quite a lot of Cessna Citations and Phenoms, Globals.
It's just recently been announced that I think the MTV Music Awards is coming from Manchester this year, so that'll be an opportunity for a lot of biz jets to be coming into Manchester.
I know whenever we have like a big football match on, of course, there's usually a lot of movements, and same for Barton Aerodrome as well. They have the heliport there, so a lot of corporate sort of helis come in. It gets very busy.
What's the most interesting thing you've seen come in?
Most interesting? We get loads of interesting stuff, don't we, Matt? I mean, we had a Cargolux 747 a couple of weeks ago, and also the same week we had a C-17 with United Emirates Air Force. And wasn't there a Lufthansa A340 the same week? It's like all these random quad jets rocking up.
Amazing.
But we don't get 747s at Manchester anymore. In fact, they're becoming quite rare in general, aren't they? It's not just Manchester. It's Heathrow.
The only time they tend to get utilised at Manchester is like on a football charter at when they're going for pre-season and stuff like that.
Yeah, they'll take in the Atlas 747 usually.
We see them over London reasonably often, but again, it's not so much during the day. Actually, it's more because they're freighters. You know, they're operating in sort of all kinds of hours. So we don't tend to see them in the flow during the day quite so much. But yeah, lots of Atlas and Cargolux and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, so we've got now taxiing out. We've got the Singapore Airlines A350. Obviously, playing out we were talking about earlier that you and Matt haven't flown on yet. Would you be down to flying an A350? Or is there any particular routes you want to go on?
Vegas,
yeah.
That's a good shout.
That's a new one that's starting at Manchester this year.
I'd actually quite like to go on the Finnair to Helsinki from London.
Oh yeah,
you know
that'd
what?
Be good,
that's what we were looking at as well, because that's probably the easiest way to get on one, isn't it? Because it's not.
It's always the same aircraft on the same day as well. I can't remember what day of the week it is, but you can, if you look it up, you can quite easily guarantee booking that aircraft, unless it goes tech or something. In which case, you're going on an A319.
DHL triple going over the top there.
Really?
Just with my bare eyes.
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Mate, if you can, Matt, we call him Hawkeye, Matt Smith sometimes because his eyes are like laser vision. What did you say it was, sorry?
I think it's a DHL. Triple. That's just with my bare eyes.
Where from? Which direction?
It's directly over the airport now.
I'm probably...
Heading south.
Wait. It might be a KLM.
No.
It's heading like towards south side.
I'll show you in a minute.
Yeah. I think it's probably that KLM. Oh. How did I miss that?
Was that right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yes. You are right. I was going to say, I don't normally doubt you. You're not normally wrong on these things. And they're very distinct colours on the KLM versus DHL.
The yellow of DHL.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, if you're just joining us, I know I'm going to have to mention this a few times. We usually have to do it on the live show because people come and go. We are joined today by a very special guest, Chris from Flight Radar 24. You're actually a bit of a viewer of Airlines Live, aren't you? I mean,
100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I work from home. I'm fortunate to be able to do that most of the time, and I have the TV on in the living room, and it's either you guys or on some of the other days, from some of the other guys that do great work out there as well. It's great sort of background viewing, and of course it's inherently linked to what I do, to looking at what aircraft are doing, and you know what? Quite often it justifies what's in the top 3 of the most tracked aircraft on Flight Radar 24. It's normally because they're on final on a stream either from here or from one of the other airports.
Do you ever notice that when a certain channel is live, it might skew the most tracked planes?
100%. And I noticed that it's a lot of guys that run such as yourselves, like, right, let's try and get this aircraft to let's try and get this
number one,
and it works. And but that's a kind of touched on earlier. A large part of what I do is keeping an eye on that most tracked list and just delve into why. And sometimes that's the why.
Yeah. Singapore Airlines A380. I think she's heading off to Singapore, the longest flight out of Manchester Airport. Takes about, 13, 14 hours to get over to Singapore from here on?
13 and a half, roughly,
Yeah. They also do another route to Houston as well. So they do Singapore to Houston, but they stop at Manchester as a little refuel stopgap in between. But it's surprising how many people fly from Singapore to Houston. When I flew on that flight, because we like to go to Texas, it was just mostly people flying from Singapore. It's like, wow,
interesting.
To fly a 14-hour flight, get off for a few hours, get back on for another 10-hour flight.
But what a great place to get off.
Yes,
it's a shame they can't nip into the RVP.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. I know they need like a little metro train or something to bring
little
people
airside section, maybe.
Yeah. But it's weird though because it's a day flight for us, so you're bored and you take off about 11 a.m. and you get there about 3 p.m. Their time. But for them, Singapore people, it's nighttime for them, so they have the cabin dimmed, they have all the things, and everyone's falling asleep, and you're there like, what? It's 11 a.m.
They're cracking open the first gin and tonic, ready to go.
About a few coffees, ready for the day. It was a strange experience, but it's quite cheap as a result, though.
Tower shaking, but a machine just lined up.
Oh, wow, Philip, well, that's very nice of you. Possibly one of the greatest guest appearances of all time.
Yes.
In my opinion, such an articulate, well-educated and incredibly knowledgeable person.
Get in.
That is very kind of you. Thank you so much for saying that.
He's definitely not talking about me there, don't worry.
Or me.
No, honestly, it's great to be here, and speaking on behalf of the business, we really want to get to know people like you guys better, because we do love what you do, and it all comes as part of that sort of AvGeek ecosystem.
Yes. There you go, the Airline A380. Bit of a rumble. Probably not full power today, but that's a pretty quick rotation.
It's flex takeoff there.
Yeah. So, one of the planes that are on the approach now is the Emirates A380, the second A380 of today's show. I can see there is a Hainan A330 also on the taxi out as well. That's great to see. The Emirates A380 already number 9 most tracked worldwide on Flight Radar 24.
Wow.
And I'm more than happy for you guys to play the hack the most track list game this afternoon. That is absolutely fine with me.
I felt like I was in trouble for a bit there. Confessing that.
My permission.
I think our most proudest one is probably Captain Mark, a good friend of ours. He's based here at Manchester Airport. His first ever appearance on the show got me caught live landing. It was only an A319, which, as a joke, we were like, everyone go track it on Flight Radar 24. People probably downloading the app just to get on the bandwagon. And, we got it to number 1. And I felt like he probably felt very miffed about that. Why am I the most tracked worldwide? But there's been a few pilots, actually. I remember one a couple of weeks ago, an Emirates pilot who got number 1 most tracked worldwide. And it was probably because of, let's be honest, Airline's live presence. And he actually bragged about it online. He's like, there's one for the achievement list, like number 1 worldwide while I was flying.
You should use some kind of commemorative. Well, you've got your commemorative coins, right?
Yeah,
maybe you could get some sort of certificate, maybe.
I think that's for you too, I think. Post it to the pilots who get number 1.
No, absolutely. One of the things I think I mentioned before, but one of the things I love about Flight Radar 24 so much is how prolifically used it is by by aircrews. And whenever I fly, I do try and say hello and again pass over some merch, some freebies, and I always like to speak to the crews and ask them how they use it. And quite often, I remember I was speaking to a BA 777 crew last year coming back from JFK, and just said, what do you guys use the app for? And they said, well, we use it as a kind of just a supplementary tool for situational awareness, because situational awareness is such a vital thing to operate a commercial aircraft safely. And they'll have a look at it to kind of get an idea of what their kind of taxi time is going to be. It's not necessarily part of the EFB. It is for some airlines, but mostly it's just a kind of supplementary tool they use. And they use it sort of halfway across the Atlantic to get an idea of, there's pretty much always a delay going into JFK, so they think, okay, roughly how's it looking? What's that going to look like? Which runway are they on at the moment? Because they can look at the weather and get an idea of that before they can actually take the ATIS information, from quite a long way before they can take the ATIS information from the destination. And it's just cool, really, that the thing that you sort of work with and speak for is used so prolifically.
And if you're on airport pickup duty as well and your relative is flying in, it helps massively to keep an eye on that plane. And
the alerts feature I mentioned earlier is great for that, because you just grab that flight number, put in an alert for it. You can put an alert when it's, say over 1,000 feet, and just track the ETA. And of course, from next week, you'll be able to keep that flight pinned and tracked from your home screen on your phone, LFEMA lock screen as well. So again, all just part of doing what we can to make it as useful as possible, really.
Like, a lot of people asking about that Scandinavian that's on radar. That is a really weird route for a Scandinavian. That is going to be probably some kind of charter or some kind of...
Yeah, I guess so.
You have to look at the history of the aircraft, really, as well. I'd love to know what that's all about. There are 12,000 people tracking that one plane. It just shows how many people are interested in it. To be sat there looking at it, is super interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it looks like... a couple of recent chart, sort of looks like charter stuff. But apart from that, it's and you can see this Polish airport here, RZE. I always struggle to pronounce it. It's like Rzeszów or something like that. That's basically the gateway to Ukraine, essentially.
Right.
So quite often, aircraft operating in and out of there are within the top 10 most tracked, just purely because of that interest point. And about a year ago, we pulled some really interesting data on that airport and had a look at sort of who flew in before the Ukraine war, and then kind of what happened after that, what types of aircraft were flying in, what kind of balance of military aircraft were going there. We had a look at some of the more interesting visitors. It's a really interesting airport to watch right now, and continues to be.
The Norwegian King is on that 737. There you go. There's another story to uncover.
He's had some medical stuff done. I remember that now.
Also, just looking at that part of the world, we also have the Emirates A380 number 3 of the day at Manchester Airport. We have 3 per day at Manchester. Emirates Flight 19, that's coming in. And that just departed Dubai a couple of moments ago, so that's about 7 hours away. So that usually arrives at about, half 6, half 7 sort of time?
Around 7 o'clock-ish,
the next one to arrive is on final approach, number 2 to land. So again, we will just about catch the arrival of that, because it's tall enough to see it over the trees over there. But stick around for that, folks, because we'll see the plane do a bit of an unusual taxi in all the way to Terminal 1 at Manchester. Did you fly to Terminal 3, did you, yesterday?
I think it was Terminal 3.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Very long walk to the train station.
Oh, is that what you did? You got the train, did you? It's a nice terminal to fly into, because when you're flying domestically, you don't have to go through passport control, do you? So they get you on the coach, do you? And then they kind of open the door and you're just kind of there. You're like...
it was Airbridge, I think. Just Airbridge straight into the terminal,
nice.
straight out the other end. And in town, I think probably inside 45 minutes, I was in the centre of town. So, really good connections.
Yeah. Darren asking, where's your favourite city to fly to? You don't have to say Manchester, don't worry.
I mean, it's predictable, but honestly, it's London. Flying into Heathrow or City being the ultimate. I mean, if ever you get the chance to fly into London City, I recommend it. The problem is the best approach is if you're using the... so for for departure, you want to depart westerly, and for arrival, you want to arrive easterly. And the arrival is what you want. That's the cool, the best views. You do a great approach over central London. You sort of turn onto the final approach course over the Shard. You see pretty much. In fact, I put a little video on the Flight Radar TikTok. By the way, we are on TikTok. Please give us a follow. And we're at the real Flight Radar 24. It's like the real Slim Shady. But you get some great sightseeing on the way. Unfortunately, of course, the prevailing winds being westerly, you don't often get the arrival. You tend to come in kind of over the docks and then over Kent. That kind of. There's not quite so much to see that way, but that's the best. And then going into Heathrow, into the westerly runway, especially at night, great approach over central London, slightly higher, of course. Brilliant view. That one? That's the one.
Yeah. There you go, give you a follow. I don't know what we're on these days. We're on a good few followers. We don't really use TikTok that often. It's definitely one of the platforms I don't use.
We're very new to it. I don't use it personally because I'm too old. But
young man's game.
Exactly the same.
But Flight Radar 24 is absolutely down with kids.
Yes.
So give us a follow.
Yeah.
Hainan is just lining up.
Yeah, I'll be heading back to Beijing. Hainan, flight 754.
And I do believe the 380 is not too far away now, just its final few 100,000 feet.
Here's a question. They don't often use the A330-200s, do they? That's a 200 series.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's weird.
This should shake the tower.
Yeah, nice bit of noise.
Let's turn it up, shall we? Windows shaking in the tower.
I love that.
Beautiful aircraft. Good question from Adam, saying, how do I get a Flight Radar tag?
So, I have a limited number of Flight Radar 24 removable flight tags, the ultimate upgrade to your luggage, with me today. You can visit me at the Runway Visitor Park today. I'll be here for most of the day within reason. Going to have a look around, do some filming, get some pictures, and have a look at some of the aircraft. But I'm in the tower with the Airliners live guys right now, so feel free to pop over any time and say hello and grab a tag. I've got about, I think, 198. I think I have. So hopefully, should be enough. But they will go fairly quickly.
They are going to go, mate. Trust me.
Yeah, they will go. Yeah. We're flying on Tuesday with the Airlines Live gang. So what I'll do is I'll put mine on the bag and I'll put it on the old X as well.
Perfect.
That'd be
Absolutely. Awesome. Quite often, whenever we fly, whenever we go through airports, we tend to have some with us. I certainly do.
Yeah.
To give to the flight crews, or occasionally, if I've got a bit of spare time in the airport, we'll go on Twitter and say, I'm outside this gate for the next half an hour if you want to grab a tag. And I felt a bit bad, really, because I did that at Heathrow on Friday. It's like, I'm outside gate A10 next to the lift. I'm probably here for about half an hour. Come and get a tag.
Yeah.
And then because my flight was delayed by 45, and then it got called early. Yeah. So I saw some guy on Twitter had sort of got the bus or something over from one of the other terminals and legged it, and I missed him. And then he had to run all the way back to take his transatlantic. So I did feel bad about that. So if that person is watching, I do apologise.
Mate, the amount of people in the chat who are asking, can we buy them? Can we get them sent out? Can you save us one? They are nice. They are nice tags.
Yeah, they're great. So we don't sell anything like that right now.
Yeah.
You never know. Watch this space, but keep an eye on our socials. Have a look at where we are.
You've got a few for the Airliners Live gang as well, haven't you? So maybe we could dish some out to some fans. Maybe we'll work something out. Yeah, they are nice. Have you ever been noticed by your uniform? Has anyone ever gone?
I am wearing the one-piece Flight Radar 24 outfit today.
Yeah.
It felt appropriate to do so.
Yeah.
We're fortunate to have some really good kind of merch for the team, which is like just for us, and it's really high quality sort of tech wear. So really good to travel in. Always travel in the trousers. I've never been recognised. I don't really do much. I haven't done a lot of video content for Flight Radar 24 yet. So I think Gabe gets recognised a fair bit.
Yeah, because he's also like the face of the YouTube almost. He's like usually the guy who's on there. You don't know he puts his face in the thumbnail as well. And as a result, I think he's become a bit of a bit of a celebrity, is it?
Absolutely, and I mean,
celeb.
there's some other guys I'm sure like Nicky Kelvin probably gets recognised quite a lot.
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
I imagine, much like YouTubers that do other things, probably get recognised in the street, I guess.
So Pierre asking, will you come to Copenhagen, Chris? Now that kind of opens up. Do you ever travel much for Fly Radar? Like you said, you've come here today. You might meet some people here, Heathrow as well. Do you ever go to places and flag hey, we're here today, or other team members as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody at the door.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, I think we tend to sort of travel when there's a really good reason to. You know, if there's something really interesting happening, we'll go.
Yeah. Keep that up.
There you go. Just going to go off comms.
Yeah, no worries. So obviously travelling around a lot. Folks, if you do have any questions, though, feel free to ask Chris some questions.
Is this a good chance to catch up with some support, Andy? I think
It is indeed, yes. Believe it or not, I was just opening that. Let's have a look, shall we? So we had... Martin Davidson would be next.
Yep.
For £5, saying coffee for Chris.
Hey.
Oh, we'll definitely sort him out if he so needs. Mark Bibby with the Premium Economy membership. Thank you, Mark. Welcome to the VIP, actually. Hans with 24 months of business class. Wow, Hans, that's huge.
Wow.
Morning, everyone. I have a new livery. Oh, he's talking about the gold tail badge that he just got.
Get in.
And Katie as well, 2 years as well,
Get in,
24
Katie.
months. Morning all, here's the 24 months. Fantastic.
Nice.
Mike Delta 11 with a Premium Economy membership, a brand new VIP. And Gracie's World with 12 months of business class.
Hey, cheers, guys.
What I'll do is I'll tweet out, folks. We're going to wrap the stream a little bit earlier than usual today. Just because no Martin today. And also we've got a few obligations to adhere to. And it'd be nice to sort of hang out with Chris a little bit as well before we wrap. Because usually we have to dart super quick, usually.
Yeah.
But yeah, stand by. Let me just jump off the mic for a second, Matt. I'll be back in a minute or two.
No problem, mate. Emirates A380 just arrived. Just halted its taxi back to gate 12 as it waits to cross the active departure runway. Do have a Jet 2757 taxiing down, EasyJet you just saw in shot, and also the Iberia, which I presume is going to be heading back down to the Spanish capital, down in Madrid. So as I mentioned, a few aircraft on the way out. The Jet 275 Alpha Kilo is incidentally making its way down to the Canaries, down to Tenerife South. And the EasyJet, we just saw in shot, A320 aircraft. Charlie Romeo on the edge of that one. And that's heading to Milan. Fairly busy day. The sunshine's brought the masses down to the RVP this morning. Got a spare few hours on this Sunday afternoon, guys. Get yourselves down if you're local enough. Premium views here from the runway visitor park. Plenty to do. Plenty of the kids to get up to. Little play area for them in case they get a bit bored of the aviation. Also a cafe. Aviation shop, and as has been mentioned on the stream, a few beautiful static aircraft to few exhibits to walk around. Get yourselves down, guys. Show your support. Cracking bunch of staff down here at the runway visitor park for all your needs. Emirates looking beautiful, looking resplendent in the sunlight. biggest passenger aircraft in the world. Taxis to gate. Iberia turned on a sixpence and is now lined up on 0-5 left here at Manchester on reverse ops. Iberia about to spool up. Iberia climbs out for the return leg to Madrid. Next aircraft to line up is going to be the Jet 275, heading down to Tenerife South. Pardon me. Lovely pair of RB211s about to spool up.
Right, I'm back on the mic now.
Ah, yes.
Cheers, Matt. How you all doing, folks? Chris is just talking to some visitors.
Hey.
You're more than welcome if you're at the RBP or you're coming down. Chris is going to be here for a few more hours today.
Yeah, cool.
So he's got some tags to give out for you guys, and they are really nice. Have I got one at hand here? Let me just grab one just to show you guys what we're talking about. I think he's only got over 100 left.
He's only got about 150 left.
He's only got a lifetime supply left.
They aren't going to last me.
Look at these folks, so they are Flight Radar 24 branded. Look at that, looks clean, that, doesn't it? And remove before flight tag, classic. I love it. So get that on your backpacks, which is what I'm going to do. And for the trip on Tuesday, I'm going to have that ready and come and rep Flight Radar 24. It's a great flight tracking app, but it has a lot more than just that, to be fair. You have a lot of data on there, a lot of information about flights and flight times, schedules, a lot of pictures on there. They have a nice 3D view as well, as we were talking about earlier, which is where you can use augmented reality. You can use the camera on your phone to look up at the sky, and it'll tell you what planes are flying over and stuff. It's so cool. So yeah, folks, if you're into any kind of aviation, even if you're just someone who travels a lot, I'd highly recommend Flight Radar 24. It's an awesome app. We've been using it for a long time on the channel. I use it week in, week out anyway. You do as well, Matt, don't you?
Correct, yep.
And yeah, it's super clean. And as Chris was mentioning, there's actually a lot of new updates coming soon as well. He gave a huge list earlier on of really exciting updates. Just small quality of life changes, but also just nice features that they're implementing as well. So since we're into the last hour, though, folks, feel free to get some questions in the chat for Chris. He's happy to help where possible, of course, on regards to Flight Radar 24. He's also a pilot himself as well, so if you've got any aviation-related questions or just personal questions, I know there's been a few more personal ones, things like what's your favourite livery, favourite airline, things like that.
The most important question he'll get asked today, though, is pineapple allowed on pizza?
We've not asked that, have we? Maybe right at the end.
Yeah.
End it on a good or bad note.
Can't not ask him that. That'll determine whether he can come on the show again.
What plane does he fly? I could ask that. I didn't actually get the specific one, but he used to fly private jets.
Yes. What a job that must be.
Enjoy, Suze. Thanks for tuning in.
Cheers, Suze. 7.5 on the takeoff roll, heading down to the Canaries, down to Tenerife.
Nice. What a destination.
Wow. What a place.
Scotland.
Scotland, yeah. Glasgow.
Oh, gorgeous. LS757, the flight number. Alpha Kilo on the registration. Beautiful bird. Where is Alpha India these days? Let's have a look. Golf using flight radar to do this, actually.
Flew a return leg from Lanza last night, I believe.
Did it? So today is the 3rd. Yeah, she's still here at Manchester, so we might see her go out at some point today. She's still on the ground, and that was the last flight she did. One with Bing Bong Paul Davies on board.
Bing Bong.
And speaking of Bing Bong, we got 12 months of business class. Gracie's World. Hi all, hope you have a great day. I'm in the sun standing in front of you right now, waving. Gracie's.
Oh.
That's awesome. Sorry, that would have been earlier on, but yeah, give us a wave, Gracie. It's nice to see you in the chat. By all means, anybody who's in the chat who's at the RVP, feel free to come on over and say hello to Chris from Flight Radar 24. It's quite rare to see a Flight Radar team member out and about in the wild, so it's nice to have the chance to get some pictures with them, get some swagger from them as well.
Swagger.
And also just say hello. And it's very refreshing to see him out and about. And Chris is very much a fan of getting out and meeting people, as you can tell. He's not, he doesn't just lock himself away and not see the world. He likes to get out. And like you said, when he was at Heathrow on Friday, he made an announcement saying he was at Heathrow. Come and grab some merch. And he's here at the RVP today as well, which is a great spotting location. We love being here, and the sun is shining. It is beautiful today. It's glorious.
Even the coats come off.
The coats come off.
Coats
yes.
off.
What a guy. Here we go. EasyJet A320 heading off to Milan. EasyJet Europe. Oscar Echo India Charlie Romeo and EasyJet flight 2836. Is there still merch? There is, yes, Annie. He's still got some left. Also, folks, as always, if you're liking the show today and you want to support us, feel free to hit that like button down below. But also, if you're really enjoying the show and you want to support everything that we do and keep our live shows free, you can also send in a super chat on YouTube. You can send in some bits on Twitch. Or you can gift a membership. That is the best way to support the channel, because it'll make someone's day in the chat, but also it'll support the stream and the community as well. So I appreciate everyone who's supported today. It's a lovely day out today. We're having a great time. Sadly, no Martin today. He's got some family obligations going on.
Correct.
So he couldn't make the stream today. He did send us apologies, and we do miss him, but he'll be back on next Sunday. He won't be on Wednesday's show, but that's for a very different reason. You'll see that on Wednesday.
Have to find out on Wednesday.
Jonathan saying thank you for the stream on my birthday. Jonathan, happy birthday.
Hey, all the best, Jonathan.
It's a lot of birthdays today, isn't it? Is today the day to be a birthday person? I wonder why today.
I wonder how many people celebrated the birthdays and stuff on Thursday. Leap day, were it? Was it Leap Day Thursday?
I think it was, yeah, you're right.
29.
I love how Linda's changed her name to Scottish Linda. I'll have a look, Linda. Yes, a Scottish flag fridge magnet from Scotland that we're going to. Yeah, wink, wink. I wonder if they have them. That'd be fun. That'd be a funny little bit of a conversation starter. Why have we got a Scottish fridge magnet? Well, sit down. Let me tell you a story. When a flight has to do a go-around, does Flight Radar make sure not to relay the information to the airport for investigation? I'm not sure. But I do know that when sometimes an incident happens in the world of aviation, often sort of media and stuff will look at Flight Radar and stuff. So yeah. But obviously when it comes to aircraft investigation bureaus and stuff, they'll obviously have their own very... they won't be relying on Flight Radar, put it that way. They'll have their own sort of methods and data that they can work with. That's very precise.
Now, does this mean they've changed runway direction, or is he just tracking down the side of the runway? It's right there.
Ooh, that's a very good point.
Anyway, we do have an EasyJet about to depart.
Yes, EasyJet heading off to Paris. Charles de Gaulle. Golf Echo Zulu Oscar India. And wow, Lee Davies. I'm going to have to give him a mega bong for this.
Oh, yeah?
Wait. There it is. Lee Davies with a 10 Airliners Live gifted memberships.
Wow,
That's huge,
get in
Lee.
there, Lee.
Thank you, Lee. That's really, really kind of you.
Wow, that's mega.
Big up, Lee.
Cheers, Lee. And also Forbes rejoining Premium Economy membership as well.
Thanks for renewing, Forbes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it looks like this Ryanair is going to take the right turn.
How weird's that? Look, we've got a plane taking off on 05 left at the moment, which is an Aer Lingus.
He's just going to wait there. I think he's going to stay static there while the Aer Lingus commences its takeoff roll.
Wow, that's smart. So he's used the other taxiway, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, cheers, Lee, for that. Lee Williams
Mega.
with the 10
Thanks, Lee.
gifted memberships. Did I say Lee Davies, did I? Sorry
I think you
about
did, yeah.
that. Oh, I didn't even notice. Thanks, Lee Williams. That's weird, because I was reading his name. Thanks, Lee.
Cheers, Lee.
Yeah, the Ryanair that's waiting to go is Ryanair UK Bravo 737-800 heading on to Paris Beauvais Airport, which I don't think is technically Paris, but that's your Ryanair route for the day. Lee Davies is going to have to drop 10 gifties now.
He is.
Hey, I do appreciate Lee Davies. He's been around for a long time. That red Wookiee badge. So, Chris, you've been busy?
Absolutely.
A couple of people saying hello already?
Absolutely, yep. Great to meet people. Giving out some free Flight Radar luggage tags.
Yeah. A lot of people in the chat asking for them. People are saying, oh, grab us one. Just keep all of them.
We might have to keep all 100 of them.
Yeah, just give it to us.
Well, if I've got any left at the end of the day, I'll leave some more with you, so you can pass them out to
I've got a funny feeling you're not going to have any left, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah. You know what our community's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of birthdays today. What is going on? There was a couple of people have asked a couple of questions about what planes have you flown. It's been a bit of a common theme in the chat.
Oh, sure. Well, as I said, I've never sort of worked as a commercial pilot really. I've done a bit of work on private jets. So I did what we called an integrated ATPL course, which is a kind of 0 to first officer ready. It's meant to take about sort of 18 months. It took me longer than that because it happened during the pandemic. But started off on single engine piston airplanes, DA40, Diamond DA40.
Oh, yeah.
The multi-engine training we did was on the twin, the Diamond DA42.
Yeah.
They're really good airplanes. They burn jet fuel, diesel, so they're very efficient. They're great for training, and they have kind of a Garmin glass cockpit, which is very kind of airliner style, which is kind of why a lot of the big flight schools use those.
Yeah.
And then the private jet stuff was on a Honda jet, which is a fascinating little airplane.
Really?
Like really cool, great performance. So kind of in and out of Farnborough. To various places around South France and Spain.
Oh, right.
That's gorgeous. Nice.
In fact, it's interesting how the Garmin glass cockpit suite in the Honda Jet is basically the same as it is in a Diamond DA42.
Oh, right, okay.
It's a slightly different system. It's a 3000 or something instead of a 1000.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's really very similar. So you can see why that kind of system is in place.
Yeah. When we went to Amsterdam back in May, a good friend of ours, Niels, he flies, and he was similar path to you. He was using that to get up his hours, and now he's doing he's finished his commercial now, and he's applying for airlines now. And he took us up for a flight in a DA40 as well. And
nice
little airline. It's very cosy, lovely big windows.
That's a great way of saying small.
Yes, yes. Cozy. Yes, very
just like the Concorde flight deck is cozy.
That's it. Yes, yeah. Very efficiently laid out. Just like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like an IKEA bedroom. Like
yeah, EasyJet hotel.
Yeah, EasyJet hotel. Yeah. Yeah, that's another story. That stayed in an easy hotel. That was something interesting. That was very cozy. Very efficient, should I say?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost a capsule hotel, isn't it?
That's
almost.
it. Yeah. literally enough space between the bed and the wall just to like get your leg in and you kind of shuffle down the bed. And the bathroom, it's quite smart out. In the bathroom, you could just stand in one place and access everything in the bathroom at once. You could just like turn around, mirror, the sink, and then you got like the toilet right there, and then obviously the shower like right against you.
Brilliant.
Right, a little bit more support to catch up on. I'll just catch up with that. Jack Harrison, or is it Jack Davies, with a gifted membership. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate that. And Adam Fitzgibbon with a $4.99 donation. Shout out to George.
Cheers, Adam.
Shout out to George, Jean, and Connor at the RVP. Happy birthday to Dad George. Awesome, Adam.
Hey.
Shout out to you guys.
Happy birthday, George.
Tell him to come on over to the tower as well, and come meet Chris while he's here. You're going to be here for a few more hours, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's your plan.
When do you travel back down to Heathrow, Chris?
So leaving tomorrow morning actually, but I'm taking the train back.
All right. Okay.
So it's a little bit more convenient for me.
Yeah. I don't.
Save some CO2.
Yeah, that's it. I got the train for the first time ever from the north to the south, down to London, Euston. It was so quick.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it would be that quick. It was like an hour and 40, I think, over time.
I mean, it's not 25 minutes at 18,000 feet.
Yeah. Wasn't as fun, wasn't as scenic, but it was very quick, and it was nice because you have like AC power and stuff. You can get your
Probably
laptop out.
more expensive to go on the train as well, I thought.
It often is.
Yes, yeah. That
often
London
is.
shuttle service can be so cheap sometimes, like 50 quid, 48 quid, something like that. You can get it down to. It's wild. But obviously it depends on what day of the week. I know it gets more in the week because obviously you've got like the business travellers and stuff then. If you go on a weekend, it's a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
When the shuttle service started, I think it was the first sort of airline operation where you could buy a walk-up ticket. That was their kind of selling point for it, that they would basically run it like a bus. They would run those flights anyway, and you could just walk up and buy a ticket on the day, and I think that was quite novel at the time.
Smoking or non-smoking back in the day. Sorry to make you jealous, but I've been on the Concorde. Do you ever wish you had flown on it? Absolutely, Stuart. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
I kind of wish Virgin went through and got the Concordes, because I think they were going to place a big order with them, and obviously the situation happened with the Concorde and it all kind of went downhill. But hey, we might see supersonic flight again in the future. There's another operator, isn't there?
Yeah.
Maybe potentially coming on the horizon.
Boom supersonic. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Are you keeping a close eye on that? Are you? I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's. I think we're still a good distance away from it. I think personally, but as someone who likes aviation, I would certainly love to see it. So I'm cautiously, cynically optimistic, but absolutely hope it happens.
I'd love to see a plane break the sound barrier on like flight radar or something as well. Like, I'm sure planes have done that, but maybe you should have like a Mach meter for it.
Yes, a Mach number instead of knots.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Just as like a homage, Mach 1, Mach 2.
And alert goes off as soon as it hits the max speed.
Yeah. Everyone gets an alert everywhere in the world.
Well, of course we show our airspeed in knots, so that's I think so we sometimes get a bit of confusion over the difference between ground speed and airspeed, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we often get a couple of weeks ago we had some aircraft with really strong jet streams over the Atlantic, which based on speed over the ground look like they're going supersonic speeds, and they're not. It's just that sort of difference. But of course, when aircraft are in the cruise, they do select their speed based on a Mach number, on percentage of the local speed of sound. So an A320, for example, typically, depending on whether it's a CO or a NEO, is anywhere from 0.78 to 0.82 Mach. But the speed that you see on flight radar will be in knots. Yeah,
I think that's pretty standard, isn't it? But obviously, if they did pass Mach 1, I suppose you could say, speed of sound, the sonic boom, but you wouldn't get that on a ground speed, would you? Because in the air, you're not technically going as fast. Is that how it works?
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct. And that's where that confusion sometimes comes from, when these aircraft aren't going supersonic. But according to several news outlets, they are. But to anyone watching from those news outlets, please feel free to reach out in future for insights and clarification.
We've become quite selective of what news can use our footage and stuff, because we're a bit cautious of what they might say. Like maybe exaggerate things, take things the wrong way. Because sometimes, like stormy landings and things, they can look a lot more scary than they actually are. Like things like go-arounds and things like that, they're not particularly unusual, are they? The pilots have a lot of training, I'm sure you have as well, dealing with go-arounds. It's not dangerous, it's not out of the ordinary.
No, not at all. I mean, we train on go-arounds pretty much from within the first few hours of single engine flying training. Yeah, we're straight away. And personally, I learned to fly in Oxford, and which is full of flight schools and full of low-hour pilots all learning to fly at the same time. So, yeah, you go around a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, I think someone's just at the door, so we'll go and say hello to them. 1 moment, Matt.
No problem. Don't know if Andy's mentioned this yet, but huge thank you to you, Graham Hill, with the one Airline Live gifted membership. Thank you so much, Graham. And hope everyone's okay this Super Sunday morning. Of course, we're joined by Chris from Flight Radar 24 this morning. Any questions you've got? Get them in the chat. Get involved if you can. A couple of aircraft on the move now. Ryanair about to backtrack down 05 left. Also on the ground, we have the Kuwait Airways Flight 114, that's just been pushed back from T2, and also the Pegasus, which you may have saw arriving earlier, that's just about to commence its taxi for its flight back to Istanbul as well. So plenty happening. EasyJet on the way out, going to be going to Amsterdam, and also the Ice Max as well for the return leg to Reykjavik. Just had the stunning, we would have missed the touchdown though, unfortunately, stunning Qatar 350 arrival. Whether we'll capture this departure, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Little Connor just coming to the door then, getting a free FR24.
Happy
tag.
birthday, Connor.
Yes.
Get in there.
There's a lot of birthdays today. I always feel like March is like a popular birthday month.
Yeah.
Has anyone in the chat got a birthday in March or got family? In our house, there's a few birthdays in August. There's always the big one. Like, I'm a proper summer baby, me. Like, I don't do winters. You noticed that any popular birthday months for you in your household?
Not that I can think of. I mean, well, actually, my dad's family are pretty much all January.
Wow.
I'm May myself.
Yeah,
but, yeah. My grandparents and my dad on my dad's side are all within about 3 days of each other in the start of January.
Oh, that's a dear month for you, though.
Oh, it's expensive because there's just a big enough gap between Christmas and their birthday to justify buying an extra gift.
Yeah. Seb saying May is the world's best birthday month, really?
Yes, big up May.
May birthday. My brother's is May as well. End of March, me. Yeah. I don't know, like middle of August. For me, it's like it's far away from Christmas, so it's a nice revolving door. Of when I was a kid, it was like
celebrations. Yeah.
Whereas, like I said, if it was in January, it's a bit tough, isn't it? Really. Like,
yeah.
It's a hard life as a kid in January and December.
Oh, it's hard as an adult as well.
Yeah. But May's awkward because it's like in the UK, it's either going to be 10 out of 10 weather or 1 out of 10 weather in May. It's never like
absolutely.
It's never in the middle, is it? It's always like gorgeous.
It's a great month to go on holiday because the flights haven't quite got that expensive yet for the summer season.
Yes.
It's summer schedules and stuff, but it's not quite, the price point hasn't caught up.
Yeah.
It's a great time of year to go to the States as well if you want to go to sort of East Coast, north, like New York or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
You get the good weather before it gets super hot.
Yeah.
So it's good for that.
Here's a really specific technical question. Chester Mike's just got from the chat, he sent it in, saying, is there any tech changes planned for the feeder units? So, I mean, they're the units that feed the data that you can get.
Yeah, so assuming you're talking about the ADS-B receivers,
I assume so, yeah.
we've had sort of several iterations of them throughout the years, and I think that the current version the latest version we've only had for, I think, 3 or 4 months or so. So I don't think that there'll be any major updates to those in the imminent future.
Yeah,
but I'll look into that and get back to you, because, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. And where's the best place to follow FR24, like for things like updates and upcoming features? Is X the most popular one for you guys, or do you put a lot of blog as well?
I would say that I'd say give us a follow on X if you use it. We're very active there. We're fortunate to have a mostly very positive community there that really engage with us, and we want your feedback as well. We like to know what you like about the app, what you don't like about it, what you want to improve, what you want to see added, and we really want to get that feedback. So you can follow us on X. We're just at Flight Radar 24, the same handle on Instagram, and you can find us on Facebook too. We publish any kind of major updates on the blog on the technology side, and as I mentioned before, we are on TikTok now as The Real Flight Radar 24.
Yeah. And one thing I was saying to Chris just as we were off the mic then is, one thing we like to do here on the channel is let people share their setups. So if people are watching on TV, you'll be surprised how many people watch our streams on TVs these days.
I do, yeah.
Or on like maybe a VR headset, as Practically Geek was saying, or on their PCs, or in the office is a crazy one. If anyone's watching on a unique setup, feel free to get a picture, put it on social media and tag us in it, but tag Flight Radar in it as well, because it's just really interesting to share that experience with Chris. Like I said, people have it on the TVs. And
I was speaking to a kid outside just a moment ago who says he watches it on the computer at school.
Nice.
He said he was using it on his phone, but he kept getting in trouble.
Not a good
switched to using it on a school computer.
Yeah.
Which is very enterprising, and I absolutely endorse that wholeheartedly.
Discard the history, mate. Discard the history quick.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's educational content as well. Is it
absolutely?
What's the school called, Matt? Do you remember? It's, I forget the name now. There's a school who always have us on whenever they have like a wet lunch break. Like when everyone has to go inside, they always put us on in the classroom. It's pretty humbling. I don't know why they want to listen to us, but they might learn something.
I'm not sure what.
Right, I think we've got someone at the door as well, so stand by, Matt. I'll be back in a minute.
No problem, mate.
It's like musical chairs here.
EasyJet 320, just about to line up. Maybe the next departure. See how much clearance they give between the aircraft. This is the flight heading over to Schiphol down to Amsterdam. Normally it takes around 55 minutes, an hour for this route.
Right, it's another Another little lad celebrating his birthday, believe
No
it or not.
way.
A lot of birthdays.
No way.
Today is the day.
Are you sure they're not all just telling you this? So
Mate,
they get
I
tagged?
was about to say, are they just blagging it to the birthday?
Blagging it,
yeah.
for a tag, aren't they? Blagging it for an FR24.
I don't think they realise that. Chris has just given them out. Anyway.
It's my birthday, and my wife's birthday too.
Hey, Chris, did I mention it's my birthday today?
Yeah. If you are listening in and you haven't come to grab a Flight Radar 24 luggage tag yet, please do feel free. More importantly, if you have got one, or if you do get one, please do grab a picture of it and tag us on your social media. We really appreciate that.
That's genius. Yeah.
Get out of the airport and tell us where you're going as well.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah,
on,
absolutely.
On Tuesday, our flight's at like 6 a.m. though. So
Yeah, we'll be asleep.
We'll
still be asleep.
I won't be online to.
Come on, mate.
I'll set an alarm.
Yeah, 6 a.m. sharp. That's if we remember. We're half asleep.
So, Chris, what do you like to do in your spare time when you're not working from home? What do you get up to? Do you get up to anything good? Do you do any sports or anything like that?
You know what? I think almost everything I do now seems to have some sort of aviation connection. So not massive, not really into sports, not a football fan, which actually makes life very easy.
Yes.
Quite often. It means you're friends with everybody. But I do a bit of volunteering. I volunteer for the RAF Air Cadets,
Nice.
a civilian gliding instructor. I've been not doing that for too long, actually, but I've been kind of in and out of that organisation all my life. It's an amazing organisation on so many levels. And right now, I've joined a gliding squadron at Kenley Airfield, which is an old World War II airfield, kind of near Croydon sort of area. And every weekend, we as a team sort of fly cadets from across the southeast, and it's something that they can do for free. It's 9 times out of 10 it tends to be their first time in the air, or at least in a small aeroplane. They always get a few minutes on the controls. You know, it's such a good experience for them, and it was the first time I handled an aircraft was in the Air Cadets. So that's a big part of my weekend. In fact, your setup here with this kind of glass box caravan sort of thing, it reminds me of the gliding caravan, except yours is a bit warmer.
Yes. Not normally warmer here, don't worry. It's not a usual thing.
And holidays, Chris, have you got a favourite destination you like to travel to? Or?
Favourite would be difficult, but got some places I go regularly. So, big fan of Turin in Italy. Got some good friends that live there.
Oh, nice.
In Glasgow quite often. In fact, I'm in Glasgow next weekend.
Cool.
Berlin.
Actual Scotland, then.
Yep, absolutely. Actual Scotland. Taking an EasyJet there and back from Gatwick, which should be good. I might put out another tweet in the airport to see if anyone can catch me and get some more luggage tags off me before my flight gets called. But yeah, so and then big fan of New York as well, and went to Washington DC for the first time last year,
cool.
which I was a huge fan of.
Yes.
Beautiful city.
Yeah,
like really impressed. Really liked it.
Nice. So you like the US then? Have you been there often?
Yeah, I've not been to a huge number of places in the US, but sort of San Francisco, Florida, New York, and DC. I think. Place I've been to sort of over the years, but yeah, big fan. Never been to Asia.
Yeah.
desperate to go to Japan. So that's kind of the long-term
Yeah, my
plan.
my eldest lad is desperate to get to Japan. Absolutely desperate. We've got Ryanair spooning up.
Just the problem with Japan and Australia and that, it's just so far away. It's like one thing just getting there, but for me, adjusting to the time zone, man, that would be killer.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I
need
don't
to
know.
take into consideration to take a few days and
Like days, to get used to it. Like me coming back from Texas back in September, took me like 3 days just to like get back to any normality of like a sleeping pattern.
I always think if I don't think I could ever work flying long haul because my body just can't handle it. Like some of my friends who I know a lot of cabin crew who of course fly mixed fleet stuff, so they do a lot of long haul trips very regularly, and I just don't know how they handle it. I can't hack it.
Also, that was the inside joke. I was teasing because we're going to this country on Tuesday. And I shared this flag, and I was like, we're going there on Tuesday, by the way. And everyone was like, you going to Scotland? Turns out it's Tenerife. It's got the same flag, apparently.
Wow, who knew?
Yeah, there you go. Question for Chris. I seen this question in the chat earlier. Do airport control centres around the world use Flight Radar 24? That's probably not something you'd know the answer to, I guess, because it's but I'm assuming they have their own systems as well.
So there are none that I know of that would use it in an official capacity, of course, because they're using the pro system, which keeps everyone safe. But I'm aware of a lot of aviation professionals using it on a personal level to supplement what they do. So I think I mentioned earlier, a lot of pilots tell us they use it as just an extra tool for situational awareness. You know, how long is my taxi going to be? Which runway is probably going to be in use in 4 hours' time when I get to the US, or whatever that may be. So one side of it we do know we proliferate is airlines. So a lot of airlines or operators of commercial aircraft, you know, use Flight Radar 24 to keep an eye on their fleet.
Yeah.
Additionally, a lot of flight trackers that are built into airline mobile apps. For example, EasyJet used basically a sort of an API style input. So they basically use the Flight Radar 24 interface, and they kind of skin that into their own apps. So yeah, there's a lot of use. And when I was into Toulouse last year talking to Airbus about the XLR test program, and I was shown into a back office, which was kind of the flight test engineers' nerve center, sort of big office, like a lot of coffee cups in there. And the first thing you see as you walk in is a great big TV with a Flight Radar 24 display on it. And they don't use that as the single source of information. They actually, I think they were using that as a kind of cross-checked with their own sort of parameter tracking, which they have set up, you know, to measure the aircraft. But they use those things together.
To see that, you know,
That's
amazing.
That is awesome.
I got a kick out of going into the cafe here at the RVP and seeing it on the TV on the wall. I mean, I was over the moon to see that. So it's just great to see it being used by people in the industry.
Everyone.
Just a testament to the reliability and just how simple it, and everyone understands what's going on, you know. Because here at the RVP, you know, it unifies a lot of different walks of life. You know, you got your aviation enthusiasts you see week in, week out on the mound, but also just like kids and families.
There's no age limit to using Flight Radar 24. Is there?
Exactly,
it's
everyone
for
gets
every age level. And
my mum gets it. She's not tech savvy, you know, bless her, but you know, she loves Flight Radar. She's always sending me pictures of helicopters going over and planes and all sorts.
Nice.
Joanna with the big question. Now, I knew this question was coming.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on pork pies? And also, are you a fan of Greg's? So it's a two-stage.
Is this to me?
This is very important.
Yes.
These questions, these food questions, will determine whether you're allowed back on the show or not.
Well, I think I'm coming back because love pork pies. Absolutely love pork pies, especially the ones that have pickle in them as well. In the supermarket, pack of 6, pork and pickle pie. Excellent.
Nice.
And I remember sort of personal hero of mine, Roger Moore, was a big fan of pork pies.
Yes.
I don't know why I felt the need to bring that up, but I did.
Bit of inspirational words.
And what was the other question?
Link.
Greg's.
Greg's.
Yeah,
big fan.
Yeah?
Big fan of Greg's.
Steak bake fan?
Yeah.
No, actually, I prefer a sweet treat from Greg's. I like a Yum Yum.
Yum Yum's good.
And I quite like, I think it's called Tottenham cake. It's a really basic, like, sponge cake with a single layer of icing. It's incredibly cheap. So yeah, that would be my go-to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Greg's is a big favourite on the
Should we
channel.
ask him? Should we ask him the main question of the day?
Come on. Yeah, so
this is important, this question.
Chris 79 has asked it as well.
Are you sat down for this question, Chris?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's Chester Mike as well asked it. So, pineapple on pizza.
Pineapple on pizza, yeah or nay?
I have a very middling opinion on this.
Right. It better be the right opinion. You better be the
I would
right
not
side
have
of
it
the middle.
myself, but I do not hold anything against people who do.
Mate, you can come back.
Yes, you can come.
That's the diplomatic answer. Yeah,
mate. That's 10 out of 10.
That's a game-changing question. That one, mate.
Right. So when do you want to come back on? Yeah. Same time next week.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Yeah, we're not a fan of pineapple on pizza on the channel. It's not a thing.
What has that situation presented itself so often that it's become an issue?
It's like a truth test on the channel.
Friendships have been made and lost due to that question.
Many a fights have battles in the tower.
I'm fortunate to have lived with and spent a lot of time around a lot of Italians over the years,
and that's like sacrilege.
Yes. Paul Davies is in the chat. We talked about you, Paul, earlier about your flight on the 757 yesterday.
Yes.
Hope you had a great trip on.
Very jealous.
The oldest in the fleet.
Yes,
there.
Alpha India.
Yeah, gorgeous aircraft, and it comes to my attention that that's actually the last one in the .com scheme as well. I didn't even put that together because we lost 2 of them this winter, just gone Alpha Alpha and Alpha Bravo.
Yeah, correct.
So yeah. Anyway, into the last sort of 20 minutes of the show today, folks. We've got Chris here from Flight Radar 24.
Correct. Any questions you need to get in, guys? Get them in now, because otherwise we're going to run out of time. So
yes. So any questions about Flight Radar 24, you can try and pick his brains a little bit.
Yes.
Of course, like I said earlier, he won't be able to answer every single question, of course. But if you want to answer anything you can imagine,
Yep.
Don't make him think too
Food-related.
hard. Don't make him think too hard 'cause it's Sunday.
yes, that's it. It is Sunday. We've been in the sun all day. We need a rest. Get the deck chairs out.
Ryanair on the takeoff roll from 05 left here at Manchester Airport.
Yes. And yeah, Flight Radar, of course, a terrific app that we use week in, week out on the channel. I mean, we just use it at home, wherever we're at. I'd highly recommend it. Go get it a download if you haven't already. I'm sure you're probably living under some kind of rock if you haven't already.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of people in the chat already saying.
I did meet a guy once who told me his favourite place to use it is on the toilet. To burn
Yes,
time.
utilising,
yeah.
procrastinating.
And what's interesting is everyone has their own kind of routine, because where you live, like you said, you live in London, so you probably have like Heathrow arrivals, London City and stuff. Matt, you're over in Oldham, aren't you?
Correct,
So you're getting like the 2-3 approaches at Manchester.
Yep, correct.
I'm in Warrington, which is like the 2-3 departures going right hand. Everyone always has their like little piece of the world that they look up at, and they go on radar and always see what plane this is.
See, and I've got the scanner as well. I've got my scanner on, so
that's nice. That's genius.
Getting a lot going.
And I wish in the UK we could broadcast.
It's a shame, isn't it?
It's probably something that you've looked at, isn't it?
So draconian, isn't it?
I know it's something that we've looked at a lot, and the law pretty much prohibits broadcasting ATC in the UK, which that'd be a nice feature to have, wouldn't it? Especially on the streams here, because there's been a lot of times where something happens and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
you
don't get the context.
Yeah.
And it would. I think it's one of those things which, if we did have access to that, it would get rid of a lot of the unhelpful speculation that you sometimes see when you get a 7700 alert or
absolutely, I agree,
or something like that.
Yeah.
For us, it's always the A380 being late. It's always. Why is it late? We don't know.
What's the squawk code for late?
Yeah. No, that would be an awesome.
That'd be a great addition.
We've regularly spoke about it. Like, can we campaign to get the law changed? But it's an old rule, and what is it, the Wireless Telegraphy Act? It's sadly, but other countries have it a little bit different, don't they? Like they can listen in, like the US and stuff.
Is there any way you're looking to improve the perks and stuff like that, Chris, for each tier level, or is that something you're just going to keep the same for the minute?
I think, broadly speaking, that's we're kind of happy with where that is right now.
Okay.
And obviously, it's always under review, and we're always open to feedback. So, any suggestions of how that could change, please feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah.
That reminds me of another question I was going to ask earlier. So you had this like list of new features that's coming out, which are great. But how do you work out what needs to change? Because when I use Flight Radar, I don't really see much. I'm not there that's annoying. Everything just works.
Yeah.
How do you do you get is it mostly staff, or do you get users sending in ideas, or do you get feedback?
Yeah.
How does it work?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite literally a mix of all of those things. We are fortunate to have a base of followers or people who engage with us online who are very willing to share.
Do you guys have
feedback.
a suggestion area where
Box
you
or something,
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have anything specific or any sort of proactive suggestions, you can either reach out to us on social, or you can drop us an email. Just email support@fr24.com.
Okay.
And we'll happily receive any suggestions that you have.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally there's as with any kind of mobile app based service, obviously we have the website as well, but it's always under continuous optimization and development by two amazing teams we have that handle that, the mobile and the web. And those guys, many are based in Stockholm, some are remote as well. I don't really have any insight into exactly how they work. The kind of the tech behind stuff like this has always been a bit of a mystery to me, because I'm kind of I'm a words guy.
yeah, of course.
Believe me, mate, I'm winging it as well. Don't you realise?
But yeah, the guys, they're an amazing team. They're constantly taking on board feedback. They're constantly working on new things. And I can't really talk about some of the other stuff that we have planned over the next 12 months. But there are some very interesting integrations and interesting things happening. So, keep an eye out.
That's all we want to hear, I think, just to know that there's some new things in the work and you guys are proactively working to improve things.
Yeah.
Like I said, even though you don't necessarily need to, it's nice to know, and it's exciting. And whenever there's an update on your phone, isn't an iOS update, you're always a bit excited to be like, oh, what's this? And
like I always say to you guys, Mike, Andy, it's important to keep moving as well.
Yeah.
Once you stay static, you fall behind and stuff. So
it's a nice thing, and it's quite easy. Like with us, for example, I don't want to blow our trumpet, but being the biggest live channel in terms of subscribers, it'd be very easy for us just to chill out and just take it easy and do like one stream a week.
Correct.
But you want to keep going, don't you? You want to keep it exciting, keep your life interesting.
Absolutely. So remind me, you guys are Wednesday and Sunday.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. On
and
Friday
then
as well.
on Friday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was it.
Yes.
And this is the flagship show, you said, the Sunday.
Yes.
So
like,
I'm here for the flagship show.
That's
I
it.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
We like
You're the
flagship.
main man on the main
well,
show.
we usually get guests on the midweek. Matt often has guests on. You've got Arak, haven't you, on?
Yeah, I've got one of our fellow Manchester streamers coming on the end of March as well. So.
Yeah, because there's a few people who stream Manchester Airport these days. They've all came up in the last few years. Because we're dinosaurs now. We've been around for six years now doing this.
Old-timers.
I know. But yeah, so it's always nice to have new guests on. But we don't usually have guests on the Sunday. But I think with it being a nice special guest, I think it was nice to get you on.
Well,
You're too kind.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And people have really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me. It's honestly great to be here. It's great to see the operation from your side outwards.
Yeah. But yeah, Matt's been doing a live show most Fridays, but almost every Friday. To be fair.
Pretty much.
Man, it's been so well received, hasn't it? People love I think it's just a community aspect of things on this channel. It's like people know each other, and it's that's definitely the selling point of this channel. I think is what we try to, make better all the time is the community aspect of things. I want to get more people involved. As you said, here at the RVP, people are so friendly. It's like a nice way for everyone to meet up in a public space with the love of aviation. It's the same with the live stream as well. It's the same kind of attitude.
Absolutely.
I did see a question in the chat earlier. I've just scrolled off it, actually. Are you guys aware? We actually spoke about this earlier, actually. Are you guys aware of how the activity on Flight Radar goes up when a big streamer goes live?
Yes, we were talking about this. Yeah, absolutely. So we see it on a lot of live streams with you guys and with some of the others as well, especially the ones at Heathrow. Very common to a particular flight. Like, let's get this to number one, or whatever that might be. Someone's gran is on this aircraft. Let's get it to number one. And you know what? We wholeheartedly endorse that. Please do. It's not a hack. It's
I bet it's interesting for your analytics and stuff like that, isn't it? As well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so the record for the most tracked, I think, is still held by the aircraft that brought the Queen's remains back from Scotland. I think that one is still at the top.
Wow!
But of course, recently we have had a lot of Taylor Swift action. Which being sort of a bit out of that loop and a bit too old, I don't really understand, but we've been following it anyway. Lots of private jet stuff there. Similarly with the Super Bowl, we had a lot of attention with the kind of the regional airports around there. We produced a graphic which kind of showed this plume of private jets leaving. It's really interesting visualization.
Right. Whoever did you make that one? Whoever makes
my colleague Ian put that together. Actually, Ian
Genius.
head of communications, he put that together. Yeah.
And Oshkosh is another huge one, isn't it? Where you have like just a non-stop trail of planes coming in. I mean, Noel Phillips, good friend of the channel, actually, he flew in to that on the fly-in event. He said he did not like it. It was too much. Too much
going on.
A lot of
planes
see and avoid. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He's definitely just going to drive next time.
Yeah, it's a common challenge, I think, with VFR, with visual flying in this country. It's the way our airspace works means that a lot of VFR flights get funneled into the same locations, and it just means you have to work incredibly hard on the see and avoid stuff, especially if those bits of airspace don't necessarily have a radar control service, or perhaps if you haven't requested a radar control service or a traffic alert service or anything like that. It does make it quite difficult. So yeah, I can imagine around a major event like that. I did a fly into a sort of a GA air show at Wickham Air Park a few years ago. That was good fun, but that was nowhere near as busy as Oshkosh would be, of course.
Yeah, that's just on another level, isn't it? And like I said, the Super Bowl, things like that. Always got to keep your eyes on them because it just gets so wild, and you're almost like a piece of history when you can watch it live on Flight Radar 24. It's so bizarre. It's almost like you're spectating this thing in real time, and you can zoom in, look at all the different aircraft, and do your own little research about what's going on, where they've all come from. I think it's amazing, and I love how you guys do the little time lapses and stuff. I don't know, it makes it all worthwhile. And I noticed there's a lot of action on your socials, on this day posts, and this just happened, that just happened. It's almost like on-the-fly journalism as well going on.
On the fly,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, thank you. It's good to know that that's being seen. It's definitely something which I wanted to do more of when I came on board about a year ago, to sort of just to share as much stuff as possible. If we find it we like to think that hopefully if we find it interesting, you'll find it interesting.
Yes.
And 9 times out of 10, that seems to be the case.
Yeah.
But I'm massive fan of history, and particularly aviation history. So, whenever there is an anniversary of, I don't know, the first flight of the BAC 111, that's going there, because that's just going there.
Yes,
So we're fortunate, as I said, to have such a nice, positive, engaged audience, particularly on social.
So we've got a Virgin Atlantic A330 pinging up. I think we'll wrap on that, actually, because that's going to take a fair bit of time. It's going all the way from Terminal 2, which is like a bit of a trek.
Manchester's equivalent of the Polderbahn.
Literally. And that's going to have to taxi all the way out, backtrack, turn around, and then go. So I think we'll wrap on that. It's going to have to Bridgetown, Barbados. Virgin Flight 77. Last chance to ask Chris some questions. And if you are down at the RVP today, come on over to the tower. Ideally, when we wrap up, we'll hang out with you guys. Grab yourself some Flight Radar 24 swagger as well.
Absolutely.
Going free, actually. You don't have to say it's your birthday, don't worry about it. You can just come over. But if it is your birthday, maybe he'll have an extra something for you.
Everyone's birthday today, everyone's.
Yeah. I know Matt Smith loves the black pudding pork pies. Did you have one of them, Matt?
Yeah, I sampled one of each, mate.
Mate, there's this guy, a good friend of ours, called the Flying Architect. He's called Dave. And he brings in, some artisan, proper
god tier pies,
really nice pork pies. They're big and they're handmade of different themes to them. So a black pudding one, my favourite apple and pork pie.
Oh yes, pork and apple's a classic combination.
Yes, minted lamb they had last time. All these god tier ingredients.
Yes.
And we love a bit of food talk. I'm sure you're very aware if you're a regular the channel.
I love meeting the VIPs and everything at the task fair. I love all that, but my personal highlights are pies. Yeah.
Bob Mortimer always describes it as pocket meat.
Yeah,
and that actually always stuck with me.
Yes.
Always one of his life lessons is always carry pocket meat.
Yeah. So, some bloke who travels a lot with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you, dude.
Nice
Appreciate
one, Chris.
it.
Thank you, mate.
And he says, just about to fly on Zurich. About to fly Zurich, Sierra Kilo 842, and there's only one way to track my flight.
Not bad.
I was having a look. So,
this game's number one.
Shall we?
Let's do it.
Give it a go. See what happens.
I don't think he departs till.
Okay.
Yes, but give him a try.
We still want to get him to number one, though.
Oh yeah, 2 hours time. That's the long game. If you're,
we'll wait here for you.
Yeah.
Hope you have a great flight though. So you fly to Oslo, right? He really does travel a lot, doesn't he?
Getting his miles in.
Is he? So he was at Heathrow on Friday, was he? During your show?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this show. We do love having special guests on.
I love it.
Yeah, sometimes have pilots on. You've had a few on yours, Matt, as well.
Correct, yep.
Black pudding pork pie sounds absolutely amazing. It does. I didn't have that one. I'm a bit gutted. I just had one of the regular ones.
Your guy that does the artisan pork pie, surely he needs to be the next special guest.
Oh, yeah. He's not actually been on this show. Yeah,
no, we haven't. That's a fair point.
Is he in the chat? Well, what he does, he's genius, because he made a new YouTube account called Airline Live ATC. And what he does is he listens to the scanner and then relays it in the chat, so we know what's going on. So it kind of bypasses. It's like a loophole for we can't listen to ATC, but we can do that.
It's a police car screaming in his direction right now.
And Paul Davies with his 37 months of first class saying, public service announcement, 757s are still the GOAT. Amazing. Have you ever booked a flight based on the plane? Have you ever gone, I want to fly on this plane, let's go here with this airline? Have you ever done that? Or has it ever been an influence, at least?
Yeah, not for anything interesting. Yeah. But I remember I wanted to get on a Max. So I think I went to Krakow.
A Max, okay.
Yeah, so I took a Ryanair Buzz.
Nice.
And I sort of looked at the trend, because Buzz have a bunch of 800s as well. And there wasn't really a trend as to when they were using them, but I got on one, basically. Yeah. I tried and I got on one, and I didn't mind it.
Was it one of the Buzz liveries as well?
It was.
So how do they work? Have they got a Buzz interior, or is it just a Ryanair?
No, it's a Ryanair interior, Ryanair uniforms. It's just a different AOC, I think. So
we did a video on it because, imagine, I don't know about average Joe, but I feel like you'd be a bit confused to book a Ryanair flight, go to board the plane, and it's a Buzz or a Lauda.
Yeah.
That must throw people off. Hang on, is this my plane? I thought I was getting on Ryanair. But then, like you said, you get on board and it's...
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to a lady who works at BA City Flyer once. She sort of works in customer experience. And it's kind of the opposite to what she was saying, that, you know, people don't think of, because we know aviation, we think of BA Mainline, City Flyer, Euroflyer, whatever. And of course, 9 out of 10 people don't have that consideration.
No.
But it's a bit like that in reverse. You turn up and it looks like a completely different airline.
Yes, that's it. And this is it's actually a Buzz 737.
Perfect.
Yeah.
On call.
Heading off to Prague. Lovely city, Prague. Oh, it's gorgeous. I need to get myself back there, actually. Paul with a $4.99 donation as well. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, Paul.
I'm not going to try and pronounce your surname. I apologise, because I will definitely get it wrong. But I'm going to say it's Paul Davies. I'm messing. Yeah, so, well, what we've been considering, because the 75s may not be around that much longer, we're considering doing just like a jaunt just to get on them, you know, like as one last thing.
Yes.
Maybe you could tag along as well. We're looking at doing Manchester to Palma is the best route to do.
Nice, okay.
Because they do that, you know.
Do you tend to use the 75s predominantly on like your route from
Yeah,
here?
and also the 330, so maybe you could even get lucky and do like a, you know, out on the 75, back on the 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on the 330, sorry. But also, you could also just get a Ryanair flight back if you want to save a few quid. Maybe a Max as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, we're very much... We'll find a holiday. We'll go, oh, I'm on the fence about this. Like, you know, it sounds nice. And then when you get to the next step and it gives you the seat layout, the seat map, and you see, hang on, that's got 43 rows. It's 757.
Yeah.
I'll book that. Yeah. That sold me.
Yeah, we wrote an explainer on the Seat 11A in the 737
Yes.
a few months back, because we had a few sort of questions about that. I think I mean, you know, Ryanair were brutal on social media, and they I think they absolutely rinsed someone or roasted somebody for posting a picture of a window seat without windows. It's an air conditioning duct. That's good. We can talk about that.
Yeah. So was that on your blog, was it?
It was on the blog, yes.
Nice.
So I'm sure that everyone in this chat is probably aware of it. But if you're not, if ever you're flying on a 737-800, I can't remember if it applies to the MAX as well. Avoid row 11 window seats, basically, because they have an aircon duct.
You can confirm it's the same on the Max as well.
If you go back a bit, Matt, on the plane, is that gap there? That's technically where it would be, isn't it? If you go to the left a bit.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Maybe you don't even notice it until like now you've seen it. You can't unsee it.
on a Max, it's in a slightly different position on each side. Like the rows are slightly different, basically. In fact, I think at the bottom of that piece I wrote onto the blog, there's a sort of the differences you should look out for between a Max and an NG. But of course, it depends on what the airline's done with it as well.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was on a British Airways shuttle on an A320neo. I think that's what you flew, wasn't it, on Friday? Yeah. And the back rows don't have windows either, like the very back rows?
No, they don't. I suppose that's why they're like £4 cheaper to reserve than...
Yes, that is why.
Yeah.
But I think Ryanair, they do disclose that there's no window, like literally on the booking page, so I think they have the right to...
Credit where credit's due.
Yeah. Whereas BA, I can't remember if they told me or not. Maybe I didn't read it. I don't think they did, though.
They are straight to the point on the Ryanair socials, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. People say that they kind of like how they run their socials. I think it's very, you know, suited to that airline because they make a meme of it like, yeah, I know you guys hate this airline, but I know you'll book it again because it's so cheap.
They've just totally embraced it, and I think they've made the right call there. It's
agree,
interesting.
I think they have.
Whereas I don't think any other, you know, company could really do that. Could
No.
Yeah.
It's I used to work in sort of social media management for Trainline, the train booking app. And I remember that was we were never sure what to do with that kind of tone of voice thing. Yeah. And it was around the time that people like Paddy Power and Ryanair were starting to use that kind of and we were like, can we get away with doing that? And you know, we couldn't. But that was obviously being train travel. That was just a constant stream of abuse, basically from the
giving
internet.
people ammo.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly that's one of the great. Again, I say it over and over again, but that's one of the great things about the people who use Flight Radar 24, and particularly those who engage with us online. That it's such a positive audience, and I think it's because this industry and the interest in it just generates so much positivity.
Yeah,
Yeah, Chester Mike just actually posted that. A link to that exact blog post about the 7...
delivering the goods again, thank you.
And I've
Done
noticed
it, Mike.
you've got a category called Just for Fun. I like that.
Yep.
And it's all you kind of... I got almost off-topic, aviation-related things, and I can see actually quite an iconic picture there.
Yes, absolutely. So
awesome plane spotting locations around the world.
we featured the RVP in our I put it in the listicle because it's I've been here a few times before, and it's a cracking view. And it is, as I said, less common in the UK, sadly. So that's really good. I think I most enjoyed. If you look at in the blog in the Just for Fun sort of tag, there's a piece I wrote about sort of aircraft from Bond movies. Mostly just because I wanted to slate that kind of plane in Casino Royale, which is just an excuse to do that, really. But I got a bit of hassle on Twitter for leaving out. I think there's a tiny little jet that Roger Moore flies at the beginning. I think it's at the beginning of Octopussy. I can't remember. But I did mention it briefly. But I got a lot of feedback on Twitter saying, why didn't you feature that? So I did feature it. So for the record.
Yes. Right, I've got someone at the door. Stand by, Matt.
No problem. Sun Express is now lined up on 05 left. This is more than likely going to be the penultimate departure of the live show, because we do have the Virgin Atlantic now on the taxi, as you may have just seen in shot. We're going to capture this beautiful live-read 7-3, departing back to Antalya, I believe. Sun Express commences the climb. No, thanks for joining us, everyone, during this Super Sunday show. Been great having Chris from Flight Radar 24 on board with us this morning.
It's been really, really good. Have you enjoyed it, Chris?
Brilliant.
Had an absolute billboard time. Thank you for having me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So it's great to say it's this is the first time I've seen kind of a live stream from the other side. It's really interesting to see all the kind of the gear that you use, the setup you got here is so professional. But I think the best thing is just as we were just discussing, it's just the people here that have come and said hello. Sort of so positive, such a nice kind of little community you have. They clearly come quite often. And we were just speaking to some people who were watching the show at home and then just decided to let's just go in and see it for real. Like that's great. And to see so many kids here as well and younger people and sort of this is how I got into aviation and I'm very glad I did. So hopefully that works for those guys too.
Matt just catching a glimpse there of that Air Canada 777 heading off to Toronto from London Heathrow. Nice long flight that on the old triples. We've got the Transavia 737-700. Now, this is an interesting plane coming in. We might just catch a glimpse of it. Transavia, a lot of their planes are being used by KLM at the moment because KLM are down quite a lot of planes, aren't they? Because of these engine troubles on their E2 jets, I believe.
That's right.
As a result, we've seen lots of Transavia. Transavia don't fly to Manchester usually. And also, Oh, interesting. Oh, Egypt Air are using the 7.3 today. That's interesting.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I've not seen that for a while.
Was it usually a 321? Or?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. Only utilise the Neo.
That A321 Neo is gorgeous. It's one of our favourite planes to see. Yeah, it is a very friendly group. I mean, like you said, it's quite a unique experience here at Manchester because you've got the amazing view of the aviation action paired with like a nice community feel as well. Like nice people, like, lots of things to do.
And one of the best gift shops in the world, I would say.
Yes.
At a push.
Have you been there yet, or you going to
I haven't been in today, but I think a couple of years ago when I visited, had a quick look around and managed to avoid spending too much money.
do you have many models?
Models, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I used to when I was younger. I used to collect sort of 1/400 scale stuff, and I think I sold them off a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I do build, not recently, but I do build kind of model kits, normally of the passenger jets, so sort of 320, 737 kind of things. I think I've got about 6 or 7 on a shelf at home.
Yeah.
Just plastic model kits. I've
Mate,
done
you
that
need
since
to
I was
get
a
up
kid.
here for TAS if you collect models.
Yes, so the weekend just gone, we had the aviation fair in Concord Hangar. Airline Live had a stand there as well.
Nice.
And it's just full of loads of stands, all shapes and sizes and models, bits of planes. There was one chap that Sam, my partner, bought a model from who 3D printed airports.
Yeah.
So he had like Manchester Airport there. You could buy like Terminal 1, you could buy the tower,
Nice.
you could buy the Jet 2 hangar. She got the NATS control tower that you can see here from the RVP. Really nice little business that. I think it was really cute. But we also had Henry come all the way from Vancouver, Canada, to make an appearance at that fair as well, and it was so busy. So busy.
It was.
Yeah. I've seen another message, another donation. Paul with a $4.99 donation. Thank you, Paul. Forgot my chat. I use Flight Radar 24 to track my daughter. She is getting her license. Nice one, Paul.
Nice.
So I assume she's up flying quite often, maybe in some of the smaller planes. Depends on what stage of the...
If you know what she's flying, let us know.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, like I said earlier in the show, the benefit of it as well is being able to track like family and things when they're on. Hey, that is that on the runway? Is it that, or is that just turning
on a sixpence?
Yeah, it's turned around. We learned the other day that there's a lot of planes that can turn around on runways. The largest of that is a 321 Neo. The 75 can't. In fact, this is a A320 regular, and there's a short 3 X-ray going back to London Heathrow.
Nice.
Like I said earlier in the show, it's gorgeous flights.
Good fact.
Yeah. It's interesting, that, isn't it? We've seen a lot of backtrack in action, and this will all be done by the end of the week, I imagine.
Thinking of the tracking family and friends, my parents do the same for me. They track me whenever I fly, whether it's for work or whether it's for pleasure. And so towards the end of last year, a friend of mine, or a couple of friends, we took a PA-28 from Southend to Antwerp for the day. Like, really interesting trip. I've never actually been across the channel in a small aeroplane before. And on the way back, the weather closed in a little bit quicker than expected, which does happen, especially in that part of the world. And we sort of tried to get back to a few places and couldn't get back, so we ended up pretty sort of low over the coast, flying around the south coast of England until we landed in Ashford, Lydd, in Kent.
On the south coast,
and my dad was kind of keeping an eye on that, and I remember I got it because I was in the back seat for this particular leg, and I got a message from him being like, what are you doing? It's like, this is a very unconventional sort of bit of routing you're doing. I was like, yes, well, I didn't respond. But, unfortunately, I'm instrument rated, but I was in the back seat, so I couldn't go into cloud. But all was well.
Here goes the Virgin Atlantic A330 300 series, heading off to Bridgetown, Barbados.
Oh, yes.
I'll turn up for this. Beautiful aircraft. Great aircraft to end the show on today as well.
Yes.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolutely amazing show, and people have thoroughly enjoyed it in the chat. I can tell there's been so many good questions in there as well.
It's been brilliant having you on, Chris.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
So where do people go from here? Do you want people to go and give you a follow on the old X? And you're on
Absolutely.
Yes?
So if you don't follow Flight Radar 24 already, please do. We are on pretty much everything as at Flight Radar 24. We're also on TikTok at The Real Flight Radar 24.
Yes.
Because we're cool. I am on everything as Lomasca, which is spelled Lomasca. It's a personal profile, but yeah, I tweet work stuff as well, so feel free to give that a follow if you like.
Yes. Great stuff. And obviously get the app as well if you haven't already.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Please, download and use it. And as I said before, some interesting updates coming, dropping next week to the app and the website, so keep an eye out for those.
I'm really excited for that. Yeah, cheers, Chris, for coming on today. It's been a pleasure having you on.
It's been brilliant.
As we see this Virgin Atlantic, that lovely left-hand turn. Is it going to line up with the tower?
I hope so.
Just about. But yes, Chris will be staying here for another couple of hours, you're saying, Chris?
Yep, absolutely. If you're at the RVP, come and say hello. Got some swag to give out as well.
Get in.
Great job, Matt, up on the camera today. Thank you for jumping up on the camera for today's show.
No problem
10
at
out of
all,
10
mate.
Work on the camera, no complaints, of course.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you so much for your support today, and thank you for layering your questions down to Chris as well.
Yes,
Brilliant.
appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time on Wednesday, next to the live show airports. Probably about 11 a.m. Wednesday from somewhere, maybe in Scotland. I don't know. We'll see you all soon.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. See you now.
Take care, bye.
Bye.
Bye.